Good evening, Super League fans and managers. I hope you can all see the screen. I am just trying to get the co-commentator connected, and yeah, you can have a look at the lovely fixture list, and I'll get back to you in a second. Good evening, Super League fans. I hope you can all hear us. I've managed to connect my co-commentator, and it is, of course, a pleasure to say welcome to Dragons Manager and the, I would say, probably the best co-commentator we have in the league. No offense to anyone. Welcome, Jamie.
Hello, thank you. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. And it's been a while since you've been on,
Yeah, I think
but
it was
great to have you back.
first game of last season. I think it was.
Yeah. So, but we're upholding the tradition that this is
Yeah,
our tradition now. You have to come back for at least the
yeah,
first one of the season. Interesting little break for you. You've appointed an assistant.
yeah. Obviously, I think we were out. Well, we were out of the playoff picture quite early. Then we kind of made a last dash towards it, and then it fell at the last hurdle, and Palmer kind of screwing me over instead of the other way round. So that was written in the stars. But yeah, so Boise got in touch with me then, and obviously, we talk quite regular, and he mentioned it to me, and I thought, why not? I think at first everyone thought it's a bit of a gimmick, but he's won the Super League 2 times, so whatever you think about him, whether he's flash or whatever, he knows what he's doing in terms of winning, and he gets in people's heads, as we saw, this week. Um, but I think when people have actually looked at it now, and you've seen Midlothians kind of gone down that route, and a few other teams, and Tiago, and at the end of the day, I don't think having a second opinion hurts. Do you know what I mean? He's mentioned some things to me, and I thought, oh God, yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. So it's definitely something I've enjoyed doing, and although we've had a bit of fun with videos and that. We have had the serious conversations about the team, which is ultimately the main goal. Winning is the be an end all, and we have put the work in there, so we're confident going into the season.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see how it pans out with the assistants. I know Thiago's appointed another, or sorry, rather an assistant as well. So it'll be
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that develops. And I think it is probably kind of the next step of the Super League to have the assistants in, and get them to have a bit of a say, and also in case you need to go away or you need to do something for work or you need to do
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, if you need a week off or anything like that, then it's good to have someone who can come in and do a bit of covering on that. So yeah,
yeah. Just
it'll be
someone's,
interesting.
look, someone's different perspective on things, and just fresh ideas. And I think that's what I needed. Just look at things a few different ways, and yeah, I think it's worked out well for myself. So I'm really looking forward to
Excellent. Well, me too. I think it'll be very entertaining, definitely
yeah,
throughout the
definitely
season.
entertaining.
If nothing else, then at least
Yeah,
entertaining. So yeah, all good. And just to check everyone, if Jamie's volume is not good, then please, I have turned him up, so hopefully you can hear a little bit better now. So yeah, all good. But I I mean we've had so much talk. Obviously, I hope that everyone's had a chance to read Fifey's blog. It's brilliant as usual, and lots of good words in from the managers, and really interesting to hear what they're hoping for the kind of for the season. It was a little bit like the pre sort of show that we had, and everyone was kind of
Yeah,
like going, oh yeah, this and this and this, and in the end, I think we ended up with three teams outside of the playoffs, and everyone else in
yeah.
with with a shot at making it. So it'll be
Yeah, there's a few people sitting on the fence. I think everyone for Valen, Churchtown, and Bolton. I think they were kind of everyone's certain three. Astor made quite a few, and then the kind of last two places were made up of kind of every different team. I think it was only Swindon and Sloss probably that weren't mentioned
that struggled
by
to get a lot
anyone.
of
Yeah,
support. Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
That's true. But and to be fair, I think if you're just looking at basically on the squads, I think everyone's in with a reasonable shout. I mean, even Sloth and Swindon, if you looked at the points at the end of the last season, they weren't that far off,
no,
with the points they picked up at the end. So if they have a decent run at the start of the season, then
yeah,
maybe. Anyway, so what we're going to do now, instead of like keep people hanging for ages, like we could do, and and talk about various things, I think everyone's very keen to get started. So I think that's what we're going to do. We've obviously got a couple of new managers in the league. We'll speak a little bit
yeah.
about them when we get to them. But first up, we're gonna fire into it with gosh, I hope I've done all these right. I think I've done all of these. Um, so if anyone spots anything, then I do apologize. It was a little bit rushed today. I decided to embark on a 4.5 hour stream of a full season in my home save, which kind of knackered my voice and my plans for the day a little bit. But I have checked it once or twice, so hopefully it will be okay. Anyway, first up, we've got Athletic at home to Churchtown Massive. And if we look at the predictions that the Fifey so kindly sent me earlier on today, is that if I can figure out where the hell they are, so we've got 25% of the public backing an Asta win, and 75% going for Churchtown. How do you see that? Do you see Churchtown being such a massive favourite in this one?
I don't see him being a massive favourite. There's someone I think who's got a great chance for the title, but Asta, they just get the job done. I think if you give these kind of 14 squads to everyone and kind of said, you've got Asta against Churchtown, then I think you would make Churchtown probably the 75% favourites. But Alf knows what he's doing with these lot. He kind of goes for people, to match the formation and tactics that he wants to use. And you never really bet against Alf, to be honest. So I certainly don't see it being that much of a one-sided, although I do think over the course of the season, Churchtown will be one of the teams to beat.
hmm And as you can see here, Asta Athletic Alpha's gone back to the tried and tested. This is his his version of the half track or whatever it's called with that he started last season with. And to be honest, he had a good run at the beginning of last season. I think the first 6 or 7, maybe if he didn't win all of them, he was definitely unbeaten
Yeah,
in a good handful of games. With Boyer being back after his broken leg, I suppose
yeah, I
we
was going to say
shouldn't be.
Bowyer is a big player for them.
Yeah, I mean that was when I think that was when Alf started changing after Boyer got that injury
Yeah,
and he couldn't get this to work without him. So I suppose not too surprising that he's back to this formation considering Boyer's back and he did so well for him early on last season.
yeah. I think his bottom six, if you look, especially Vogel, Kaluzny, Zanetti, and then Bowyer, I think that's definitely where his strength lies. I think the front four, Rui Costa is decent, and he does get a few goals from Brugging, but I think Smith and Nikolai, they are the ones that are going to have to step up their game if Aston are going to make the top kind of two. I think they're always kind of
Mm.
regular top six. But I think if they want to try and get in the top two, they need more goals from their strikers because that's where I think they're probably a bit weaker than the other teams who are going for the top kind of two places.
Yeah, and Rui Costa obviously joining as well from Ballon. A decent signing with Del Piero going in the other direction is maybe a little bit
Yeah,
like for like. I don't know if he's going to get
yeah,
more out of Rui
I
Costa. Do you think?
yeah I think in that position I'd probably rather Rui Costa. But I suppose Valen is another one knows what he's doing, and I think it'll probably work out well for both. But I
hmm
think Rui Costa probably will add a bit more to Asta than maybe Del Piero will to Valen.
That's possible, definitely. With regards to Churchtown, so this is Kieran's formation, and surprisingly, I thought I'd seen it before, but I haven't. It's certainly not in one of the tactics that he used that I've saved before, but
Yeah,
it seems that he's trying to make the most of the players he's got. Mike Duff, he signed Mike Duff. Where is Mike Duff? He's not even on the bench. That's a bit surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, well, considering the build-up he was given, by obviously especially by yourself in terms of turning them into kind of title contenders, I think it's a bit. He's not injured, is he?
No, I don't
You
think
know,
so.
it's a
I
bit
think
strange. Obviously, two doing that play, and you would have thought, obviously, letting people go to get Duff in, he was going to be quite central to their plans, but it doesn't look that way. But it's
hmm
quite strange to see a team in the Super League that doesn't have one arrow going anywhere. You always kind
yeah.
of see some arrows going somewhere, so it's a bit strange there. But again, Kieran's another one who knows what he's doing. Certainly, kind of favourites this season for me. I was surprised when I read last week. I thought obviously a lot talked about his strikers and Van Nistelrooy, but I think Olsadebi's a brilliant player, and I think he definitely gets goals. And I was surprised that everyone else was kind of written off by Van Nistelrooy, but I really like Olsadebi, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, he definitely got a few goals for them towards the end of last season. But Barry Ferguson, key man for them. I mean, him and Boyer up
Yes,
against each other. That's the battle in this one, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. I think obviously he's got Robin as well in those kind of AMCs, so I think a bit better than what Aston have got as well. But I think this will be a tight one. I think this was interesting last year. The winner on both of these games came from the away team. So Churchtown won 1-0 away to Astor,
hmm
and then vice versa. Astor won 2-1 away. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of
If
continues.
that trend continues, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I
because
mean,
it's not often the away team wins, especially with the top teams. So yeah, they were
yeah.
quite low scoring games last year. Say 1-0 Churchtown it was in this exact fixture last year. So be hoping for a bit more goals. To say we had 30 goals, I think it was on the opening night last year. So
hmm
hoping we'll get off to a good start tonight and get some goals in.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? That was mainly driven by, was it Ardsley, who had two people sent off, and there was a couple of goals scored, etc. But yeah, we'll see. We'll cover that
Yeah,
when we get to it,
yeah,
obviously. But let's kick off this one, and
yeah.
let me
Let's
just
go.
check the comment, because we've obviously
Yeah, for the
changed the commentary speed for
for the
all of them for the
playoffs. Yeah,
semis and all that. So let's see what the first game brings. So I hope everyone
yeah,
is ready in the comments. And yeah, as mentioned, Churchtown heavy favorites for this one, but let's see how it pans out. Materazzi obviously found some form scoring penalties as well towards the end of last season for Asta.
Yes, it's asked that they know what they're doing. I certainly don't agree with the 75%. I thought they would have been a lot closer than that, but as I say,
Yeah,
it's
and they are definitely take. Oh well, I said they took the lead, but it only lasted a couple of minutes, and then Ferguson pulled it back to 1-1.
yeah.
Um,
Ferguson, as you said, he's a massive player for Churchtown. I think he's probably their most key player, especially in that area on his own.
mhm. Yeah, and interesting to see if Boyer can recreate the form. He was top of the average rating list for ages, until the kind of average number of games that you have to play kind of uh,
Yeah,
turned itself down
disappeared.
again. So fairly even first half. Churchtown having much more of the chances, but failing to convert.
Yeah, it didn't seem like that they were in the commentary, but I was quite
I
surprised by
wouldn't
those
I wouldn't have
stats.
said
But
so either. I thought it
no,
was more equal than that.
yeah, and me, but I think Churchtown will be happy, getting the goal back so soon after going behind. It's a big thing. But I said obviously about Astor strikers, a 6 from Nikolai, 7 from Smith. I think they
hmm
are the ones that, as I say, they need to step it up if Alf's gonna, kind of push on from where he was last year.
Yeah, they need to convert a little bit better. Let's have a look. Sorry, at Aston Athletic first. So Rui Costa stepping up. That's a goal in his debut for his new club.
Yeah,
So manager's got to be happy with that. But as
yeah,
you say, he's not really getting anything out of the two strikers, which was also an issue last season. And Lee Boy has not really hit the ground running. To be fair, with only 9 passes and 3 tackles,
yeah.
he won
No,
all of them. But still, it's a little bit slow for him, isn't it?
yeah. In the middle of the park, you're hoping for a bit more. You're hoping he gets on the ball and kind of makes things happen, especially at home. But it hasn't been that game. Kaluzny's obviously getting involved quite a lot with 25 passes, 23 completed. So
hmm
he's another outstanding player for Astor.
Yeah, let's have a look at Churchtown then for a minute. I and Rob, I can't handle when the players are in the bloody
Yeah,
wrong order. So I and Robin and Van Nistelrooy are doing not a whole lot. Maldili and Thuram keeping it tight at the bottom, and then the three midfielders of Sorchinski, Tudor, and wherever the last guy is, Davids. Oh, he's not doing
yeah.
too well,
It's
but
interesting again, as you say, Barry Ferguson, 7 passes, that him and Bowie are both in the centre midfield on their own, and both having the least amount of passes by quite an amount. So
yeah, kind of
it's
game kind of
in
bypassing them a little bit there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a
Although
quick look at.
Ferguson has scored, so you can't complain too much.
True. Direct free kick from Rui Costa. So that's obviously something that Asta didn't have in their artillery last year, but that's good for
Yeah,
them. and Ferguson just picking up a loose ball and after some kind of play in the area, so he can poach as well as score goals from
Yeah.
distance. Churchtown to continue the pressure in the second half, do you think, and maybe convert one or two of the chances?
Yeah, again, I didn't see it like that being that dominant first half, but it'd be interesting. I still think Aston might nick it.
Hmm. Well, let's kick off the second half and see who gets the better of it. What we can point out, what the chairman's corner perhaps mentioned as well, is that attendance figures in this season are very much performance based. So whether we were used to having maybe 40,000, 45,000 to 50,000 in last season, as you can see, there's only 15,000 that's turned up to to
Yeah,
see this
big
one.
drop,
I
big
think
drop.
something happens when you amend the kind of stadium sizes and the attendance
Right.
figures. So in the first season, everyone's very much gung ho about it, but obviously from season two onwards, that's going to be a little bit different. So we'll see
Yeah,
how that impacts the finances. But as mentioned as well, all clubs still have well over 50 million in the bank,
yeah,
so I don't
no,
think
not
it's
too
an
bad.
urgent concern. Okay, but let's kick off the second half. That's enough waffling on from me, and we'll see. That's Robin and Ferguson with a couple
Oh
of
yeah,
chances. Oh, they're really putting the pressure on now, Churchtown.
yeah, they come out strong second half.
This looks much more like what the numbers were showing in the first half,
Yes, yeah, this does.
but we all know what it means, don't we? If we have a lot of chances and we've played 20 minutes and not converting any of them, that's when you start
Yeah,
to get nervous.
yeah.
I think,
It's all church town. I can't.
yeah, there's nothing
Aston hanging on you.
nothing going Asta's way. There's going to have to be a counter, but they obviously can do that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's that
Materazzi.
Man again.
My goodness, he. And
Oh,
Henrik Larsson pulls one
Larson.
back.
They've equalised within a minute or two twice now.
Oh, and that's Oli Sadiba, the
There's my
guy.
there's my man.
Oh, you mentioned him right at the
There's my
start of the
man. I
show.
did say,
Right at the start of the show, you did pick out Oli Sadiba as a potential match winner, someone who
yeah,
you really like and who gets the goals.
yeah,
Um, uh, I mean, deserved, I
yeah.
guess.
Oh yeah, second half is a kind of one-way storm. I think it's, it's a great performance away to Church. As I say, I didn't see it being that one-sided first half. The second half, they've come out and, as I said, they definitely didn't deserve to lose or draw that game, in my opinion. So I think they've got what they deserved, and that's a fantastic start for Kieran.
Definitely. Let's have a look at the player ratings. What went wrong for Astor in this one? So maybe Zanetti a little bit surprising that he kind of seems to be the weak link. If you look at the number of tackles made amongst the
Yeah,
other defenders, he really stands out for not being involved at all.
yeah. I say Bowyer again continued only 17 passes whole game. So you need more than that. Then, as I say, Brugink, someone again. I think he done well for Astor last year. Can't complain, but I think not quite going to cut it. The Nikolai, although Smith had an assist and an 8.
Hmm.
Again, I think he just needs more from him. He's going to need goals if he is going to make the top 6 this year.
Yeah. I think Oliver. Who was injured again? Oh, that's for Churchtown. Oliver Kahn was injured. I was thinking who was missing a goalkeeper, but Lehmann was one of the
Yeah,
top keepers last season. But I don't think
yeah.
with 13 shots on target, conceding three, there's nothing to be ashamed of there.
No, no.
24 passes for a goalkeeper, though, that is quite high, I
Yeah,
think.
I
But
think he's just under pressure all game, wasn't he?
yeah, let's see how it went for Churchtown instead. I mean, half the passes for Chilavert. I mean, he didn't. He's probably not gonna find his way
No,
back in when Khan is back from suspension.
no.
But his front. Some fucking hell, Kieran.
Yeah,
So
where they
Iron,
gone?
Robin, and Van Nistelrooy didn't do particularly well. They did okay, I guess. But the rest of them, Barry Ferguson and the two kind of wide strikers, Larson and
Yeah,
Olise Debi, they really proved their worth in this game, didn't they?
yeah. Well, Olise Davy 6 shots on goal, 6 on target, so you can't argue with that. He obviously probably be disappointed to only score 1, but
Hmm.
I did point him out as someone who I thought could be the key man for them, and it's turned out that way in this game.
So it seems as if Churchtown are continuing their excellent away form. That was, of course, what they were almost not famous for, but they were certainly
Yeah,
renowned for being very, very tough away from home compared to, especially in the contrast to how many teams were kind of like, let's be honest, shit away from home last
yeah,
season.
yeah.
So they
I say I
kind of
think
stood out in that way,
Churchtown
didn't
were
they?
brilliant, but I think so many teams were bad. They looked obviously a bit better, but
Hmm.
as I say, that they are away from home. As they playing 3 up front away from home is you've got to give them credit.
Hmm. Well, I mean, an exciting
Yeah,
first game of the evening. I mean, it looked as if Materazzi had won it with that goal, and then Larsen and Risadebe they had definitely had other
yeah.
plans. And
I think Alf will be disappointed twice after scoring within 3 minutes. They've equalised, and then again, 83 minutes,
mm,
they've equalised a minute later. So I think Alf, after being 2-1 up with 7 minutes to go, is going to be very disappointed to lose it. Even though they were kind of under the cosh for the game, he's not going to be happy with that one.
yeah. Well, we'll see what we'll see what Alf comes up with if he sticks with his formation and gives Boy a little bit more time. I think he might do, but Kieran seems to be continuing kind of where he left off at the end of last
Yeah,
season.
and I say if you look at his ratings of his midfield three, there's no wonder Mike Duff didn't start. Obviously, with Tudor, Ferguson, and Soroczynski all having great, and
Yeah, yeah,
Davids
yeah.
all having great games.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I guess he knows he finished. I mean, he was third, wasn't he, last year? So
Yeah, he
he
knows
kind
what
of
he's
knows what
doing.
he's
Yeah.
doing. So better than better performance than I certainly managed in my brief spell. Anyway, we'll move swiftly on. Next up, we've got B-Tech Troopers against Hoddesdon Hornets. So
Yep.
this is obviously two teams that failed to make the. Let's see. Yeah, I've got substitutes selected and everything. It looks okay. A little bit nervous, actually, I must admit, like kind of debutant kind of nerves. Mukuku comes in. Let's see. So two teams that didn't make the playoffs. I think
Yeah,
Craig. I mean, some people have said that the reason Craig didn't make the playoffs last season was that he tried for a short period of time to do this kind of gammon this four four
yeah,
two tactic, and that kind of
yeah.
cost him. Where do you stand on that? Do you think they were on course for a playoff spot before that?
It's hard to say, as I say that, as I said previously, everyone always gets slaughtered for change. If you're winning games, it doesn't matter if you play the same formation every game. If you change formation, no one ever says anything. As soon as you start to lose, it's always blamed on things. You saw last year, I was getting slaughtered for not changing it. Other teams were getting slaughtered for changing it too much.
Hmm.
So you're only, escape the criticism if you're winning. So when he went 4-4-2, if he had won, he would have been a genius. It didn't quite work out. And then obviously he didn't quite make the playoffs. I don't think it was that formation that cost him. It was maybe a factor, but I just think lack of quality all round probably cost him over the course of the 26 games.
That's definitely a possibility, and he has alluded to that himself that he's been written off based on his squad in the past. So in this one, we've got the BTEC as heavy favorite, same as the last one. 75% BTEC win, 25% Hornets win. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for BTEC here. So
Yeah.
he obviously welcomes guys like Roberto, Milevski. Who else is new? Emerson. That's three new faces that are going to strengthen many teams, isn't it? That
Oh,
he's picked up there.
yeah, they'd probably strengthen any team. I think it's surprising with Emerson. I think is one of the best kind of MCs on the game, but for some reason he never quite worked out with Alf. I'm pretty sure he had him on the last save and got rid of him. Um,
Mm,
so I'm quite surprised because I think Emerson, when he plays in there on his own, is one of the best on the game. But you look at that squad; it is filled with star names in it. So I think the pressure's definitely on BTEC this season. It was on last year; they had a great side. I think they've managed to bring in so many great players, but that's only because they had so many great players to trade out. Their squad was full of them.
yeah.
So I think having a smaller squad than other teams may work in BTEC's favour because I think he had so many good players last year. He'd lose a game and he'd maybe make 3 or 4 changes because he had the players that could come in. So
Hmm.
they maybe didn't get settled. But looking at his squad now, although it is a lot of quality, I think he's going to have maybe a more settled side throughout the season, so that may help him.
Yeah, definitely. Um, if he does get any injuries, that's obviously going to be a bit of an issue because his squad is a little bit thin.
Is on the light side, yeah. Yeah, I was surprised. He sold Simon Davis to me. He may not have been a starter. He may not have even been on the bench. But I just thought, he was someone who could have come in a number of positions and done a job. Obviously, I'm grateful because I think he'll be a great player for myself. But I was surprised that he did leave him go with his squad already being quite short on numbers.
Yeah, but well, I was going to say he knows what he's doing. We'll see
Yeah,
we'll see during the course of the season if he has a season that he had last year where I think he only picked up a couple of injuries, then obviously it's not so bad. If he had a
yeah,
season like Thiago had last season with like nine players
yes,
injured at some point, then it's going to be
yeah.
a little bit tricky. And we'll have a look at the Hornets tactics. So yeah, it's kind of the same.
Similar, yeah.
It's he's dropped the 4-1-3-2 that he normally favors and gone
Yeah.
a little bit more Super League, which is unusual for Craig. But obviously he wants to play along with the big boys. Maybe I don't know.
I
Um,
think I think it's more Sigalko that's made him go that kind of way. I don't think.
mm,
I think if he didn't have Sigalko, if he had say just any other striker, but I think everyone always talks about Sigalko on his own is a different kettle of fish than when he plays as a two. Although him and Batistuta did have good
mm,
spells last year, I think it's Sigalko on his own that's made him go with that one up front. If he didn't have him, I think he'd probably play one kind of AMC and two strikers. But
yeah.
I think he's realised that Sigalko getting the goals is probably his best chance of going for the top six.
Yeah, a bunch of young players that he's got in here as well. Samuel Eto'o is still quite young. Mukuku is
To a
definitely
Makoko, yeah.
definitely
Hargreaves is
Petrov
young,
is
so
young. Good Johnson
yeah,
that he's brought in from Betis as well in the I was going to say in the summer. Is it the summer? Yeah, I
yeah,
guess it was in the summer in the game.
yeah,
He brought in Good Johnson as well, and obviously Lawson comes in the central defense from Ardsley as well. So overall, do you think that's a stronger side than he had
yeah.
last year?
I think he's improved, but I think you could say the same of 90% of the teams they've improved. But
Mm,
I like Frey and goals, the two centre halves are quality. Say I love Petrov and Johnson, so I think Sigalko is key to them
hmm
having any chance of the top six this season.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see how many goals because it dried up for Batistuta, didn't it? He was kind of
Yeah,
top of the table up until like 11, 12 goals, and then after
yeah,
that he only got a couple towards the end. So not
yeah.
really that much to write home about for him. And Luca Toni never proved an adequate sort of replacement or backup in any case, did he? Which is
No,
perhaps a
no.
little bit surprising, but
Yeah,
um,
I like Luca Toni, but I say if he plays one up front, he's never going to get a chance now with Sigalko. So he'll
mm,
just have to, maybe injuries and think Tony can come on and do a job. But
yeah.
I
Well,
think
we'll
you'd
see.
have to fancy BTEC at home today.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looking at the starting lineup, you definitely would have to. But we'll kick this one off, and we'll see what
Yeah,
BTEC can do with Nesta and Emerson and all of
yeah.
the new superstars, the
Sir
Galacticos,
Roberto, yeah.
and see how it goes. I was gonna say we need to change the speed, but we don't because they
No,
weren't in.
sorry.
Bit of early movement for Tigalco. Seen him a couple of times. And
Yeah,
Buffon
he's got
seems
in
to.
it. Makoko. Yeah, it's a good start from Hoddesdon.
Yeah, definitely. And
Oh, Pizarro at the woodwork.
is that like a bit of an Achilles heel for the BTEC side, the strikers? I mean, they are good, but are they?
Yes, yeah, he let Inzaghi go, which I understand he obviously wanted to get other players in, but I thought Inzaghi probably a bit of a better goal scorer. I do like Palermo,
Hmm
but I do think that that is the Achilles heel, considering look at their squad up and you've got all these superstars. Then when you get to the top end of the pitch, you're not as blown away as you are by the rest of them.
And they did not really delivered a whole lot in the first half. Four shots for each
No,
team, two on goal for BTEC and three for the Hornets. If you look at
yeah, it's
the
been
quite decent for the keepers and kind of for
yeah. Well,
every.
Pizarro and Palermo both playing a six. It's Sigalko playing a six, so it's no wonder it's 0-0 at the minute.
I mean, they are up against, I think, especially Tigalco. I mean, I'm not saying that he isn't world class in the game, but he's up against Nesta and Rio Ferdinand. Is always on
Yes,
his own. That's always going to be a bit of a struggle. But yeah, we'll obviously see how he develops in the second half. But
yeah, not much to talk about at the minute. You look at those passes completed. It's Emerson 7, Roberto 8, Malevsky 7, Agahawa 6. It's not really
hmm,
enough from your forward players to make anything happen, is it?
not really, not really at all.
No.
Let's see. Hardeston have had a little bit more of the ball. They've completed a few more passes, but still nothing
Yeah,
really that stands out. Joey Goodjohnson having a good debut for Hornets. But
yeah.
apart from that,
Makoko's looking pretty decent. 17 kind of passes, 12 completed. I thought his name quite popped up quite a bit
hmm
of the forward players on the pitch, so promising start there from him. But obviously, Eto 7 passes, only 4 completed. It's not
yeah,
really obviously Sigalko's going to struggle on that kind of service.
yeah, definitely. But we'll see if they get a little bit more action
Yeah,
in the second half. Things can only get better
yeah,
from here. Palmer's having a heart attack at the at the squad numbers. Let's see what he's talking. Oh yeah, Hornet squad numbers. They're a little bit insane. Yeah, I mean they're all randomly assigned. I don't touch any of that. I just press click and then stuff
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, I don't bother with that. So I don't know how BTECs have. I mean, yeah, either way,
Yeah.
we'll kick off the
No,
second half
yeah.
and discuss squad numbers
Yeah.
another time.
And hope
Um,
for more. Hope for a bit better second half.
yeah, a few more, just a few goals would be nice. I mean, a few more
Yeah.
chances for either side.
There he is.
Yeah, you said he was going to be key this season, and he's certainly proven it early on. And there's
Oh.
Akahauer getting one straight back. So much like the previous game, they
Yeah.
can't hang on to a lead here.
No. Oh, Hargreaves nearly.
I think they're having much the better off in the second half, Hoddesdon, but they haven't
No, they.
converted, and that could be costly right at the end, obviously, as we saw in the previous game. Yep,
There
it
it is.
definitely is. Can they come back like Churchtown did in the previous? Nope, they cannot.
Oof.
Oof. Oi, oi,
It's
oi,
a
oi, oi.
big result for BTEC. Big
This
result.
huge result for BTEC. I mean, they came out and had. I mean, again, it's a little bit surprising. I thought Hoddesdon had much more of the second half, but
Up
um,
until 80 minutes, I thought it was all hardest in the last 10. BTEC proper put on the pressure, but up until then, I thought there was only going to be one winner. So big
mm,
credit to BTEC for coming back.
yeah, let's see what the. Oh my goodness, look at the. That's a strong performance from BTEC
Yeah,
there. Eight to nine, just a couple of sevens. Kieran Dyer and Pizarro.
yeah, that's strong. See, we know the defenses. Well, as I said before, we talked about the kind of quality they've got up until the final two, and that's kind of showed really. And it's
Mm,
Emerson, Zerberto, Malevsky, Ferdinand, Nesta. I say it's good to see Ferdinand play well because he's someone who's never really impressed in the Super League,
hmm
but solid game there.
Definitely. Let's have a look at the ratings quickly here. So Contra getting man of the match despite not being involved in any of the goals, but
Yeah,
he's obviously doing very well on the tackling side defensively.
assist for Palermo.
Yeah, assist for Martin Palermo, so that was kind of okay. And then Pizarro, kind of a little bit disappointing. I think he has got Edilson. He plays up front, doesn't he? He's got
Yeah,
Constantino. Is that his name? He's got
yeah,
him as well. So he does have options if it doesn't work out. I think Pizarro was very dominant in the not last season, but the. Am I wrong in thinking Pizarro scored a bunch of goal in the last season
yeah. When he
before
was at
this?
Timo Shamrocks, he got
Yeah,
about
it was a
30
Timo. That's
goals.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. So I think
Unbelievable
obviously
at
he's
Timo.
looking at that form.
Hmm
But yeah, as I say, it's a good win for him tonight. But again, he's going to need more from the strikers if he's going to kind of go for the top six.
Yeah, but when he gets up against some of the better teams,
Yeah,
a bit of an experiment, I think. Owen Hargreaves in that particular central midfielder role, that doesn't seem to have
yeah,
paid off very well with him only getting a five.
yeah. A lot. Say he had 26 touches, 19 completed, one key. So five sounds a bit harsh for me, but
Bit harsh,
obviously,
but
yeah, compared to the rest, he was a lot low on numbers.
hmm And if you compare him to Emerson, who plays in the same role, he actually did okay, but he has a higher completion rate and more key
Yeah,
tackles won as well, and of course
yeah,
got a goal, which is
yeah,
always going to
which
help a little bit.
helps when it's the winner.
Yeah, I can see that Ian saying in the comments that he feels like he stole it. I don't know why you would think that you stole it when you have 7 shots on target to five. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
when you look at the goals, but I think we were both kind of, agreeing up until around 80 minutes, it was all hardest in that
yeah,
second
yeah, yeah,
half. And
definitely.
when they went 1-0 up, I thought there's no coming back here because they looked as if they were in complete control. But
hmm
the last kind of 10 minutes, I think BTEC really ramped up the pressure.
hmm And they got, I mean, I got the 3 points, obviously. So,
Yeah,
a good start for them, and a home win. So we're not going to have a round of away wins. That's for sure.
yeah,
Let me cross off BTEC off the list just so I can keep track of where we're going here. Another low crowd, 15,000. We'll see what happens when we get to maybe
yeah.
bowl to the champions.
The
Um,
champions next, if they can't get the crowd in, they got no chance.
yeah, let's see if I've set yeah, I have set Gary Neville as captain. Did you see that, Ryan?
Gary Neville.
Okay, and he is up against the Hooligans. So obviously we've got Thiago in the house, and maybe the Hooligans fan club are there as well. I don't know. I'll just kind of try to stop dropping things here, and we'll get this one underway. I think that Thiago has made some changes that I haven't put on in the game. Let me just double check actually. Yeah, so professional as always. I will just double check.
Better be
Tiago's.
safe than sorry.
Yeah. Proceed to the match. No, because yeah. He has definitely made changes here. So now you can all see he's got some unhappy players. Let's see. Aymar for Beckham. Let's do that. And Beckham for Romagnoli on the bench. There we go. Only the most professional, only the most late changes. No, late changes for me, Ryan, not late changes for Thiago, who sent them like 3 days ago. No, I'm not sure it was that long ago, but they were definitely all changes are submitted in due time. It
Yeah,
just when I saw the squad, I was like, oh shit, I didn't do that. Either way, that's all in place. You should just be happy that I've got what do you call him? Your correct captain on.
Gary
Anyway,
Neville.
Anyway, we welcome the champions
Yeah,
back in action. Bolton Phoenix, deserved winners of the Super League, or a slight champing in the final. Obviously, some would argue, but they've got to be in with a shout for getting to the top 2-3 again this year, haven't they?
yeah. Anyone who gets to the top two and wins it overall fully deserves it. I think even Bolton would admit he fully champed Valen in the final. I don't think there's any denying that. But to finish second overall and make it through to the grand final, you can't take that away from him. Fully deserved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And his lineup is slightly different to what this is. What is it? What is it? It looks like the thing in Space Invaders. That's what it looks
Ah,
like. If anyone else is old enough to remember
yeah,
that. So this is a bit of a new tactic for him. I think it's to try and get Raul working because Raul was not good, and obviously he's got the added benefit of having Kuhl in the side now, who I think
yeah,
he rates higher than Alex, who played there before.
yeah.
How do you see the lineup? I mean, Dede and Sambrota are still going to be key, aren't they? Regardless of how he puts the front five centrally together.
Yeah, I think obviously Dede, Zambrot, as you said, and then Veron and Kewell, they are key. I've got to be honest. I know, as you're saying, he's trying to get the best out of Raul. I'm not Raul's biggest fan on here. I don't think he's anywhere near the kind of top strikers in the league. Montella, as you say, fair play, was outstanding when he signed last year, and I think you'll need to kind of keep him on that type of form. Otherwise, he could struggle a little bit. But if he gets Montella playing, he did the second half of last season, it's he'll obviously have another good shout to finishing in the top two.
And Oliver
But
de
I'm not a fan of Raul.
Oliver de Koer, where do you stand on him? Good signing from
Very
Panathinaikos.
very good signing.
Yeah, we'll see how he fits into that central midfield, defensive central midfielder role. If we look at Hooligans, which we've already seen,
Yeah,
good news for Hooligans is that he's got an injury-free squad for the first time in
yeah,
ages.
yeah. I think I was just gobsmacked there when obviously you were just about to press and continue, and I saw Pablo Aimar not in the team, and I was kind of like, what is going on? He's probably, I know Ronaldinho, but I think Aymar's their star player. So I was
Mm,
massively surprised, but obviously he is starting, which I think everyone would agree is the right move. I'm surprised that Brett Emerton doesn't even get a place in the team or on the bench because I think Brett Emerton is, again, one of the strongest players they got in the squad.
hmm
Um, but I think Aymar, as I say, Baki Sioglu, he done well for Hooligans last year, so I can understand, but I might have probably put Aymar where Basigioglu is and probably played Brett Emerton because I think he's definitely should be in their starting team and he doesn't even make the bench, which I find a bit strange. But
hmm
again, it's Hull's choice. He obviously knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and I think it's just such an erratic side last season, the form, and there were so many
Yeah,
players unhappy and so many players
yeah,
that, I mean, Anelka's left now. I think I can't remember who he sold them to, but he was doing the whole kind of personal
yeah,
problems and believes the club's poor league position will damage his reputation, all this kind of
yeah,
junk. So he's out, obviously, but he's still got Salas, he's got Santa Cruz, he's got Jermaine Defoe, he's got Ronaldinho behind them, he's got, I don't know, a bunch of people up there. So
yeah.
still a decent side. And Ronaldinho, of course.
Yeah, I think again their two strikers are not the strongest. He could have even, but he has got options. He could play Ronaldinho up top,
Mm.
play Aymar where Ronaldinho is, and then bring Beckham into the team. So he's got plenty of options. I think the thing with Hools is he is, as I know he had a lot of injuries last year, but his kind of form can be very erratic. As you say, look, I think up until game week 16 last year, he was fifth and he had 25 points.
Mm.
And then by the end of the season, of the 10 games, he finished on 32 points. In his last 10 games, he only picked up 7 points. And I think
Yeah.
that's where Hools will benefit from probably having an assistant. Obviously, I can see he's recently, appointed one. But I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes when things start to go wrong with the Hools, he is very persistent in just carry on playing that same formation. So I think someone maybe with fresh ideas may say to him, if it's not kind of going his way, right, maybe let's try this, try that. So I think
Mm-hmm.
having a fresh pair of eyes in his squad could be something, that will help him over the course of the season, because he's
Yeah.
definitely got the players. It's just sometimes he may need to change things up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that the voting or the popular opinion for this one is that 72% Bolton win, 28% Hooligans win. So a strong home side support here.
Yeah, with the
But
champions at home, I think you'd be,
yeah,
it's
you'd be hard pressed to find
yeah,
odds that
but
weren't
they
in their
but
favor.
with Aymar and Ronaldinho in the team, it's, and I think Taribo West, although they're back, defense was quality anyway.
Hmm.
Taribo West is another great signing, and those back three are, I would want to be a
Pretty
striker up
strong.
against them three.
Exactly. And just as a little bit of a funny one, I can say that Fivey ran a poll as well with who's going to be. I can't remember. I've cut out the bit who says who, so I don't know. I cut out the
Yeah, I think
header,
it was
so I don't
what
know. So
debut guy is going to get the first goal or something,
no,
wasn't
that's
it? I
a
think.
different one. That was a different.
All
Yeah,
right.
No, Santa Cruz is in that one, and he
Yeah.
got only 21%. But there is another poll, and I can't remember what it's for. But Santa Cruz got 0%, and Van der Vaart got 45, Agat got 36, and Rui Costa got 18. Maybe like signing of the season or something.
Which new signing will make the most impact? I think it was something like that,
Right.
wasn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bit of love for Santa Cruz, and let's
Yeah.
see if he'll get a goal. But
Yeah.
let's kick this one off and see who's
Yeah.
right with the prediction. If it'll be another home win, or if Hooligans can surprise, as they did a few, sort of as you
Yeah.
say, up to game 16. Oh, we've had that slowed down, haven't we? Up until the end of last season, as an early goal for
Yeah.
Verong, putting Bolton Phoenix ahead there.
He's their star man in Everon. I don't think you take him out to the side, and they haven't got anyone near his kind of quality to replace him, which is hard when he is so good. But
Gosh,
I think he's definitely their star man by a country mile.
top scorer in the league already with 2 goals, and Sinoni
So
getting a
no,
three. Yeah, this is not a good start for Hooligans at all. Not a good
no,
start for them at all.
no. And as I say, their defense, as they were saying, obviously the quality it is, but again, I don't think they're going to kind of get anywhere with the strikers. Am I right in saying, have they still got Elba? Have they still got Elba?
I
I'm
think
not
he might
sure.
still. I think Giovanni Elbas might still be there. I can't, for the life of me, remember to be honest. But
Yeah, for me, he's better than Salas and Santa Cruz, but this,
yeah, they're gonna have to do something. I mean, you can also blame the goalkeeper a little bit. That's three
yeah,
shots,
three shots. Yeah.
three shots on.
One's a penalty, so I think that's a bit difficult to
Uh-huh.
kind of ascertain, isn't it? Four for Chiatis, though.
Uh, that's a tough one. The rest, I mean, Mendieta with a 5.
Yeah, you're
Tari,
looking at your big players for Pablo Aimar, Ronaldinho, both on
uh,
fives. You're going to struggle when them two are playing fives.
yeah, they're not finding space. And if we look at the performance from Bolton Phoenix, it's as if they're just not finding space against that formation
Yeah,
that they've put up here. They already
Montella
getting an
and
assist.
Montella and Raul's still struggling, though. I know they're 3-0 up, so he's not going to complain right now. But if he kind of looks at the grand scheme of things, he may say, no, he's talked a bit about Kewell, who could play a striker. So I
Hmm.
think those are options which he may need over the course of the season.
Yeah, and I think if I mean they were unlucky with a red card, but I think they lost. Did they not lose the first game of the season 6-1 Hooligans? I feel
Uh,
like that was
yeah,
something that happened.
Hooligans lost 6-1 away to Astor. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, another kind of unlucky game could be on the cards here. And
yeah,
if you're wondering what performance does to attendance figures, then you can see here that Bolton Phoenix have a full house. So the
yeah,
people have turned out to see the.
yeah. Just win the league and you'll be all right.
Yeah, and you'll be fine. Predictions for the second half. I'm struggling to see a
Yeah.
way back into this for
No,
Hooligans.
it's yeah. He'll add another one or two, I think.
Hmm. Let's see if Montella gets one, or if it'll be someone else, or if Kennedy or someone else in the Hooligan side can. Nope, Raul can.
Raul,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a tough one.
it's a tough one to take for the Hooligans to say when you lose your first game. It's
Kennedy's just unstoppable. He's probably
yeah,
on paper the worst player in the squad, but he's the one who's
yes,
kind of.
he did last year. In fairness, he was one of their star players, so I can understand why he keeps his place. But I think Zielius is someone I struggle to think why he's in the team. I think he's Brazilian, so maybe that's why he's in over Emerton. But on paper, as I say, Emerton has to be in that team.
Yeah, I mean he needs. I mean absolutely horrendous goalkeeper performance. We have a total of 6 shots on target and 5 goals. I mean,
Yeah,
neither manager will be delighted with that, but Kiotis,
Chiatis.
we're probably. Do you think we're seeing? I mean, Stefan Klose, if you look at him, he's not a bad keeper. I mean,
It's a tough one because I think Chiatis is a good keeper. He's just obviously had an absolute stinker today, and you're kind of up against it. Then
mm,
is Klaus a better keeper than him? As you say, he's a good keeper, but is he better than Chiatis? I don't think
no.
so. So I don't see him change. Although he's had a stinker there, so Thiago could well have been him. But
Mm,
I would think he'd kind of carry on with him. But
yeah,
as I say, what's that? Two players playing an eight, Samuel and Kennedy. Is
yeah.
the rest? I
Saw
say
Campbell as well. So.
at least a few of them come up from fives to sixes. I think if you're trying to look for the plus points, that's something. But
Mm,
as you say, it's just not good. I know you're playing the champions, and it's always going to be difficult. But
yeah.
you've got to put up more of a fight than that, haven't you?
Not even an assist to be found. It was Kennedy that kind of took the game by the scruff of the neck in the last 10 minutes and got that goal. He's the only player who completed a key pass in that game as well. So that's something that you need to really get
Yeah, it
back to
didn't
the
really
drawing
have
board
much of
with
the
that one.
ball, did they?
True. If we look at Bolton Phoenix, much better from them. Dede, who was in contention for being certainly in. Did he make Team of the Year? I can't remember. Or did we put Giggs in or something like that?
I think
Anyway,
Giggs was in. I think.
he's
I think.
certainly trying to do what he can to make a name for himself with 3 key passes, 2 assists. Verong with 2 key passes and 2 goals. Obviously, one of them being the penalty, and Raul with an assist as well. So a strong. I mean, Montella not really at the races, but other than that, a really strong start for the champions. Would you agree?
Yeah, great start. As I say, to win your first game is massive. I know I saw from Palmer earlier, and obviously he was going on. He was saying, first game is kind of don't look into it too much. But at the end of the day, I think it was out of the team, four of the six who finished in the playoffs last year all won their first game.
Mm,
So it does show how kind of an early start can be, quite kind of key. So I think first game you're just happy to win. Like BTEC, he's not going to care that, as you say, he stole it. All he's going to remember is that he's got 3 points on the board. So that's all that really matters in the early stages.
yeah. So good result for Bolton. They're obviously off to a flyer as the champions, and that means that we go to the Dragons next. So
Yeah,
it's you, Jamie, and
yeah,
and your new formation. We'll have a little look at that later. I hope I've done everything correctly. And you're up
yeah,
against Hodgie and Arsley Celtic.
yeah,
Let's have a look at your. Well, first of all, let's have a quick chat about you and Ardsley and your performances last season. But kind of a similar, although you kind of swapped the form for you swapped around a little bit, didn't it? I mean, you were kind of sort of a little bit inconsistent. Let's be fair. Whereas Ardsley
yeah,
had like a good run and then a shocking run, a couple of good results, and then a very very terrible run again, but ended up kind of in similar kind of points areas.
yeah, yeah. I think both of us kind of obviously failed. We didn't make the top six, so both of us failed. I think, as you say, I was probably a bit more when I say consistent, as you say, I would maybe win one, lose one, draw. My form was kind of maybe more erratic, as should I say, consistent. But Hodges was kind of go on a great few wins and then get a few thumpings, and he was just you could never tell what Ardsley were going to do.
Hmm.
Um, so I think this one, another one is a tough game to call. And you see that by the vote. I think last time I looked at it, I think it was both kind of evens. I don't
Yeah,
know how it ended up, but we were
score
quite
draw,
even.
7% for a score draw, but you are slight favourites on 53, and they've got 40% backing them. I mean,
Yeah.
terrible away form as well, RC Celtic last season. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I didn't have great home form either, though. So I think it's,
right, so there's a few changes obviously to your side. There's a bunch of familiar names. So if we start at the back, we've got Carini. We obviously know he was gonna stay and stick. He did a pretty good job for you.
yeah,
I think he had one shocker, and then the rest of the games he was
yeah,
actually
yeah. The
fairly
shocker against
decent.
Panathinaikos, which obviously then kind of
Yeah, mathematically
split.
closed the door for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but up until then, I think he done quite well. So I couldn't really fault him on paper. He's probably not one of the strongest. Well, anywhere near the strongest keepers, but I
Hmm.
thought he played well last year.
Yeah, sometimes slow and steady, a bunch of 7 and 8s for your keeper is not too bad.
Yeah,
If you can keep it to
yeah,
1 or 2, and then you can still, get a win if you get some of your players scoring. Rustico and Simic, of course, still going strong. Kalatz and Tomasi, we also know from last season, and you've brought in. Be careful with this one, yeah. Song Young
yeah,
Cook.
yeah. That's right.
He's a bit of a I was going to say a left wing signing. He's not really, but
Yes.
metaphorically speaking, a bit left wing,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah, he's far left wing. I got to be honest, I'd never heard of him. I think everyone knows that's a Boise signing. I obviously when he mentioned him, I thought, fuck, I know this has got to
Who
be a
is it?
typo. What's he on about? So I went on the game and I looked and I was pleasantly surprised. So we
Yeah, he
went
looks
for him, and
fairly
I
decent.
I think his attributes are really good. So I think he's, hope fingers crossed, going to be a great addition to the squad.
Yeah, yeah, and it's all about putting down those performances. And then you've addressed the problem on the right hand side as well, because I think you were looking at Van der Meide and who's the other one, Giovanni or
Giovanni,
something on the right
yeah,
hand side.
Carragher played there.
None of
Everyone was
them
telling,
really, none of
no,
them really did anything. Let's have a
no.
look.
Galetti played out
Let's let
there as
everyone.
well.
Let's just have a quick let everyone have a quick look at Song Jung Kok and his 20 teamwork. He's fast. He's got good stats. I mean, he's very versatile. He's either
Yeah,
footed.
either footed.
He's
Yeah,
a he's a
it's,
he's a great signing.
yeah.
Um, and then Davies on the right hand side is now coming in. I can see that your assistant says that he's not the first choice, but so who is your first choice on the right hand side then?
Well, who was our first choice to sign? Or I think Simon Davis is the first choice now. He
Ah,
wasn't.
right,
He wasn't
okay.
in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah,
who we
yeah, yeah.
wanted to sign. I
Ah,
think
yeah, yeah. No, I remember
we
well now. Okay, fair enough.
yeah, we had a
But
few obviously targets before then, which I
hmm
think some were on the database and some were obviously gone elsewhere.
somewhat too
So
obscure.
yes, yeah, some of them were, but yeah, Davis, to say we were delighted. To be honest, Davis would have been quite high up, but
Hmm.
I did acquire for him quite a few weeks ago, and kind of BTEC said no, he was going to stay, so that was fine. But I thought literally we were coming close to the deadline. I thought I'd have a cheeky inquiry again, and
Hmm.
lucky enough we were able to get a deal done.
Hmm. And then the rest of the squad are familiar faces. We've got Viduka up front, who found some form at the end of last season.
Yeah,
Brosek and Keane behind him. Keane, who didn't find form at the end of last season. That was perhaps one of the kind of
yes,
troubles
yeah,
as well. And Giggs back on the left hand side in a slightly more forward position. So
yeah.
looking strong for you, I think.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it, plenty of times. I think Viduka is the key point. If he can get consistently to the form, well, anywhere near the form he was at the end of last season, then we've got a great chance. So he is kind of key for us at the minute.
Hmm. And if we look at the Arsenal side, so Hodges gone with a slightly different formation.
Yeah,
Um, I think we can we can safely say, but a strong lineup. I mean, strong players, isn't it? That he's
it's
got.
a really strong lineup. I think Hodgie is he's trying to play everything down, and he's trying to say, if I can finish seventh and improve on last year. But there's no way deep down that Hodgie believes that or doesn't think his team should be making the playoffs. And he's probably got, I say it's a great squad, but he's probably got Vieira, who's by far for me the best DMC on the game. He's got Nicky Franco in the AMC, which probably in the Super League terms is probably one of the best. He's got Madeira, Chivu, Terry, Candela, Zauri. His team is full of quality players. So I don't think he really believes that, finishing seventh, he'd be happy with that, because I don't believe that for 1 minute. He's just
Mm.
trying to play everything down. So I think if he doesn't make the playoffs or whatever, it's like, oh, well, I did say that kind of thing, but deep down, I don't believe it for the second.
Yeah, well, we'll see what he comes up with today after this one, depending on the outcome. He obviously had a super dramatic season opener. I don't know if you have notes on it, but his season opener against BTEC last season was quite
Yeah.
spectacular. I think there was a couple of red cards.
Yeah.
Did he win
4-2, wasn't it?
anyway or something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah,
4-2, 4-2. Yeah.
well, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens in this one.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're ready, then I'm ready,
Yeah.
and
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go.
best of luck to both you and
Yeah.
to Hotju, obviously, and let's go, and to Russell, who's got it on the big TV apparently. Um, so we're all in position for this one. Let's kick
Yeah.
off the first half and see how that one goes. Oh, good early chance for Ardsley there, but looks like you're coming straight back. As a very attacking lineup from Ardsley. So if he gets the
Yeah.
chances, then. if he can get the ball up there, then he's definitely in with a shout. But it's Brosek who gets the early goal for Dragons. Oof, and then immediately a goal back.
Teams just can't keep a lead, can they?
Nope, it seems as if people aren't back from their holidays yet. Really, not really
No.
awake. Oof, couple of good chances for Tristan there, and there's
Yeah.
Nikiforenko on his
He's be-
debut. But they can't hold on to a league either.
no, no.
It's really the story of the evening. This lack of
Yeah.
ability to hang on to anything that
Yes, that was
resembles a lead.
4 minutes. If I'm going to be honest, I thought Ardsley dominated that first half. After we scored, I thought we were to make it 1-0. I thought we were kind of looked the better side early on, but up until the end of the half, a fair play to Ardsley. I thought they dominated that second half and probably deserved to go in leading.
But you obviously have Brosek
Yeah,
playing in.
Brozek, obviously, I think, again, last year when I got kind of rid of him, when I brought him in for Ndai, it kind of got slaughtered a bit, and everyone was like, Brozek's not a season one player. And I was kind of like, well, I know he's not a season one player, but I was already out of the playoff contention and things. So if anyone who was part of the old Super League remembered season 2 was when Brozek completely came into his own. He played for Hooligans and he was unstoppable. So
Look at
that's
his
what,
look at his stats. Look at
yeah,
his stats though already in season 2.
yeah,
I mean, I know they developed crazy over the summer, but I like to see him in that kind of role because if you go in instead of playing him up front with he's got the 20 dribbling, he's super fast, isn't he? He got
yeah,
the bravery, he can jump in and out of the situations there. So really a key player
yeah.
in that position. And lucky for you because it doesn't seem as if the rest of the squad are really they haven't really found their feet yet.
No, no. As I say, Robbie Keane again has struggled. As I say, an assist from Simon Davis, which is what we brought him in for.
Hmm.
So again, it wasn't a great first half. Tomasi, not great, but as I say, we're still in at half time. So I think a bit lucky. So I'll take that at half time.
Also play for and good fitness level for the players going into the second half. Kind of
Yeah,
okay here for Ardsley as well. A little bit better
yeah,
performance from some of their players. Tomadera getting 2 assists. That's a little bit surprising for me. I thought he'd be
yeah,
in with the goals instead, but I
yeah,
think Hodgie will definitely take that because he paid a lot of money or swapped someone very good for him, didn't he?
yeah,
Was it not the Seedorf that went in the other direction? Was it?
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he'll be
Yeah,
wanting good things from
Tomadira is a
that.
massive. I say I do like Tristan and Morientes, but I think Tomadira is a big sign, along with him and Nicky Ferenko.
Mm.
They're two quality players at the top end of the pitch, and as you say, at the defence, then is say really strong Terrier. He's not having a great game, but say Candle, Azauri, they're really strong players.
Interesting to see what will happen in the second half. It doesn't look as if, as you say, Terry and Kibu got the had that much to do, and what they didn't do particularly well. But we'll see what comes up in the second half, and
Yeah,
and not a great day for either keeper either. I mean
no,
that's a 50% rate of
yeah,
conceding. That's a tricky one as well.
yeah,
Quite loyal fans you've got over at the Dragon Destroyers,
yeah.
almost
But I think
30,000
I think
turning up for this one.
I think Boise's brought in the numbers for the first game.
Possibly. We'll kick off the second half and we'll see
Yeah,
if you can get back in front or if it'll be yeah, and see how close it'll be basically
yeah.
because it has been. Oh, Ibrahim Said. So someone said that is it Volodeng? Oh, he's not really. Mm, I think. What about Sauri? Can he play in there? No, he can't. Okay, so it's gonna have to be Isaac here. That's unfortunate, but there we go. Early injury for them, Ibrahim Said.
Yeah,
Someone said that Ibrahim Said was not oh, it was Ryan trolling or something. I don't know. Ibrahim Said is not a Super League player, apparently.
no,
Discuss.
don't agree with that. No,
um,
but Viduka needs to get his shooting boots on. He's having a bit of a nightmare. But it
uh,
is.
let's see if you can get back into this one. It does seem as if teams have been struggling to hold on to a lead, and you definitely have more chances now.
Yeah,
It's Giggs has so many attacking movements. I hope for you it's not Viduka. I mean, you have
yeah,
plenty of options if Viduka is
yes, yeah, that
John
is.
Terry from out of nowhere. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I say we haven't deserved it tonight.
Oh well, there's
Viduka. It's nice to see Viduka score at the end. Obviously, as I
ah
say, it's not it's not good enough for tonight. But I think moving forward, as I say, we'll say that it wasn't good enough. Was it that game wasn't? just
I
wasn't
mean,
good enough overall. Say we came back into a second half. I think it's just kind of even, but I don't think we deserved anything from tonight.
I think looking at your performance here, I think if you look at your performance in sort of in separation, like exclusively just go like 13 shots, 8 on target, a pretty good game
Yeah,
that, until you see what they at what cost from the other side. So let's see
yeah,
quickly the player ratings. So I mean it just seems a little bit like bad luck, to be honest, and maybe a little
yeah. As I
bit.
say, we didn't have anyone below a 7, so I think we just come against Ardsley, who their kind of forward players played well. As I say, Carini had a good game. Say if you take away everything from Ardsley, if you showed me if you said to me, if I hadn't seen it, you said you didn't have a player who played below a 7, you've had 13 shots, 8 on target. I
Hmm.
probably would have said, yeah, we're going to win this game.
Yeah,
But
7 and 8
just
across the
unfortunate,
board. Yeah.
we've played Ardsley. But again, I'll say it, Ardsley. I say with the team they got, I know where he's coming from in terms of they massively underperformed last year. But I said that there's no way he honestly thinks he'd be happy with 7th with that team. No chance in hell.
I don't think his goalkeeper is the best, but Sauri, Candela, Christian Chivu, John Terry. You can
Yeah,
argue about Saeed, but
Landrau's not bad, not bad. I think he's like Carini. I don't think on paper
hmm
he's one of the strongest, but I think he is dependable.
And then he's got Patrick Vieira, he's got Nikiforenko, Tomadera, Diego Tristan, and Morientes as that five. That's pretty strong.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean a very exciting game for the neutral for,
yeah,
with 4-3. So I'm sorry we couldn't bring you
yeah. It
a
is
better
what it
result,
is.
but the commentators curse that weighs
Yeah,
heavily on anyone who
it
turns
does.
up.
Yeah, tell me about it.
so, so we'll see if we. Hopefully you'll come back, Jamie. Hopefully it won't scare you
Yeah,
off.
we'll
But
we'll see.
you can. I mean, there's looking at the performance, there's definitely positive to take from it. Simon Davis comes in, gets an assist and a 7. Song Young Cook plays himself up a little bit better. Defenders are doing well. It's just a bunch of shots from Ardsley in that game.
Yeah.
Viduka even gets a goal, but I mean, you have both Shearer and Owen, don't you, as backups for?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
we've got options there, but
so
I think
plenty.
obviously Paducah's got a goal, Brozic's got 2. I think Keane is one of the ones you need to keep an eye on because a lot of the saves you will play first season, he can sometimes be quality and
Hmm.
then can kind of drop off. So I think we obviously stuck with him, obviously after the season he had last year, but it's to say he didn't finish the season well.
Mm,
So I think he is someone who we need to,
you
keep
need
a
to have a
close
look
eye
at.
on because I say we have got a win, especially. So maybe something that we look to change it up in terms of the front 3 and the
Hmm.
formation. So Keane will be someone we'll keep an
He'll
eye
be
on.
looked at. Yeah, you could have Brosic in between two strikers, for example, or something
Yes,
like that.
yeah,
But
there's
yeah, yeah.
options. Yeah,
I'll let you and Russell sort that one
yeah,
out during the week while we
yeah,
move on to Midlothian.
yeah.
I don't know if Ian's got his. I saw him earlier, but I think he covers the comment section of the screen because his comments and the video is out of sync. So I don't think he's.
Right,
I
yeah,
think he's got an issue there. I'll quickly double check his formation as well because
yeah.
he was
Is Van
in.
der Vaart not playing?
I don't think so because he doesn't. He's back to this thing, yeah.
Right,
So there's no space for that. So just bear with me
yeah.
a couple of seconds while I scroll through this and have a look at the starting lineup. And we've got Given, Carlos, Hofland, Addo, Klompe, Dulaj, Gattuso, Alex, Back, Vieri, and Impensa. Benches,
Mm,
Volgaros, Etienne. No, I've got it. I've
fair
got it.
play.
Okay, fair enough. So that's how he lines up. And Andreas sent me in his squad some time ago, and I think I've got that pretty much. Yeah, that's the one with yeah. That's good. That's an interesting one,
Yeah,
right? So we've got last season's runner-up, obviously Valen United, considered by many as being one of the favourites for a top 2 finish again this season.
yeah,
Where do you stand on that? Agree?
yeah. I think it's hard to look past Val, I know Bolton done incredibly well to keep it close right up until the end, but I still think Valen are a class above. As the second season, it may not be as easy. I don't rate Del Piero, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think Saviola, although he doesn't get the goals, probably does a lot of the donkey work for the team. So it'll be interesting to see how Del Piero does work out because I don't think he improves Valen's starting 11.
Mm, mm. I mean, I guess it's a squad that's also difficult to improve upon, to be fair.
Yeah,
But
it is. Yeah.
and especially considering that, I mean, I think Andreas drives a bit of a hard bargain when it comes to player dealings.
Yes, just a bit.
So it's difficult for him to pick up any kind of superstars because he is quite sort of stingy with letting his go. So I guess that people will have the same
Same
response
attitude
when he
back.
comes
Yeah.
scoring. I think Van Bommel he was definitely looking at, but I don't think Van Bommel went anywhere in this window.
No.
Let's have a look at Midlothian first up. So Ian obviously made the playoffs. He was
Yeah.
the best out of the sort of bottom half sides that just managed to squeeze in with a bit of consistency in the last couple
Yeah.
of games and good home form. And then he obviously stumbled upon that's rude because he's obviously put a lot of thought into it. Then
Yeah.
he's come up with this formation that I mean a back five. I'm not a fan, but do we need to give it a few
Yeah.
more games before we say that
Yeah, I
it's
think it's hard to judge. I don't think I've really seen anyone play it in the Super League. A back five is always kind of the two. If you play three at the back, I think everyone either plays wing backs or they'll play kind of two DMCs in front of it.
hmm
So yeah, I think it's it looks a bit defensive to me, but I think you need to. He's obviously, as you say, put a lot of thought into it. It's not something that anyone would just come up with and make it. So
hmm
um, I think the main talking point for them is obviously they're quite keen on Christian Vieri. They're pinning obviously a lot of hopes on him. Um, my opinion, I think Kesman's the better striker,
hmm
especially in terms of Super League. Vieri will definitely get goals, but I think Kesman, to be honest, I thought Kesman was their best striker last year. Um,
Yeah, I think
but I
Impensa
think,
ran into to a lot of injuries. To be fair, I
yeah,
mean, I think he got, I mean, only 10 goals in 21 games, but he did sit out quite a few games, well, 4 or 5
yeah,
with injury, and I think he'd
yeah,
come off in a couple. So not the best. But yeah, Christian Vieri did nothing at all really for Sloth. He didn't even play him
yeah.
that much, to be honest.
But I think they're obviously putting big faith in him now. They've been quite vocal, so it will be interesting to see how he does. But I think they will miss Kesman.
That's definitely a possibility. And then they've brought in
Yeah.
Alex instead of Kuhl. How do you think that that works out in any way? Alex instead of Kuhl? I don't know. I'm not sold on it, but
Yeah, it's again, it's difficult, but I would say Kuhl and Kesman are probably stronger too.
mm,
It is tough. I think Alex is very similar to Kuhl, but if I had to choose someone, I would probably just about go for Kuhl.
mm. I'm a big fan of Vieri, to be honest, on the game. So
Vieri is a good player. I certainly am not trying to say it's a bad trade, but I don't know. I think just Kesman, especially in the Super League, always seems to find a goal.
mm,
So I think that they'll need Vieri to be a lot better than he was for Slots because
hmm
Kesman probably was their main threat last year. So they'll need to get Vieri firing.
hmm definitely. And let's have a look at Valen United. So the tactic is as we know it. The he's gone with Del Piero up front, which is well, you can argue whether Saviola Del Piero up front. The surprise to me is that he's put Roy Keane in a central midfielder role.
Yeah, I really like Nakata. I do. So I am surprised at that. To be fair, I do like Nakata.
Mm. And Jeremy's, he's obviously that was the swap that he did, Mike Duff for Jeremy's. I suppose he doesn't really need a right-sided defender. I think he's got is it Finnan or some who's he got? He's got someone else.
Yeah,
Um,
Yakubu can play there as
yeah,
well. I believe
Kubu can
he's a
play
DM,
there.
right DMC. So
Yeah, so he didn't
yeah,
really
it's
need
it's not
Duff.
a bad trade. As I say, I'm just surprised that Keane is not playing where Jeremy's is and possibly Nakata. Maybe because he's away to Midlothian. I think he lost 1-0 away to Midlothian last year.
Mm,
So maybe he's just trying to think away from home, showing him a bit of respect, which he obviously deserves, finishing the top six. So that's
hmm
maybe why he's gone for a more defensive player in that middle too.
True. And as Ian points out, is Stephen Reed is not Finnan's at Chotley, which I kind of
Yeah,
should know after having
yeah.
played 216 or whatever it is games and set all the lineups for them. So maybe I should have been aware of that by
uh,
now. But but we'll see. Let's see. It'll be interesting to see what Del Piero can do. I mean, it's a little bit surprising, but I think I mean, he likes Fiore, he likes Totti, he likes Del Piero. There is a bit of a theme going on there.
yeah,
Shevchenko is in remember is in Milan in the same era
yeah,
kind of thing, isn't he?
yeah.
He's not in Chelsea yet, so he
Yeah,
does like that kind of.
McCarthy's in Roma as well, so he's got a bit of
hmm
Serie A to him, is he?
Cafu as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely. And I think he had another Italian defender, didn't he? Bonera or
yeah,
someone. Either way.
yeah. He's got Toldo on the bench as well. So
True. Right. Well, let's see what the public thinks about this one. They have got they've been voting in their droves. They actually Midlothian are favourites for this one.
well, they won at home last year, so it'll
Yeah.
be interesting. I think this is going to be one of the tightest games of the night.
Well, we'll definitely have a look at what happens. We'll kick this one off. Midlothian at home to Valen United. Oh, that's been changed as well. Um, Good start for Valen United by the looks of it. Fiora with the
Yeah,
early goal.
Fiore's a quality player in that midfield. Him and the Carter, they are, as I say, they go under the radar when he's got Totti and Shevchenko, but I think them two are top draw players.
hmm Yeah, so not a 1-0 victory for Midlothian. Was that what it was
No,
last season?
yeah, yeah.
Lisa Rasu out of absolutely nowhere comes up with a goal as well. Still doing it despite his age.
It's been dominant so far for Valens, and I think they need to try and get back into it before half time, Midlothian.
Yeah, it's not looking that way, unfortunately
No,
for them.
no,
Um, Valen are doing what they kind of did last season. They're not like
yeah,
hugely dominant, but they are controlling the first half completely. And then they
yeah,
were a lot better in the second half in many of the games last
yes.
season. So that's going to be an issue for Midlothian. I think if they're already kind of outplayed and outscored, and then let's have a look at the Valen stats, obviously, to see how it's going. So Andriy Shevchenko with 2 assists for some reason,
Yeah. They say
and
Del Piero's the only one playing below a 7. As they say, it's,
no touches.
you know, 6 touches. That's garbage, isn't it? As I say, it's hard to obviously to criticize Andreas when he's won the league, and I can struggle to win a game, but I don't get that move whatsoever. I think, as I said earlier, I think Alpha had the better end of the deal. I just think he'll be lucky he's playing in team that's a
Mm.
quality team and might drag him through.
True. Yeah, so a good strong first half performance from Valen. Some of the attacking players standing out there a little bit. Not that many touches at the back, so I don't know what's really where the ball is. But maybe if we look at Midlothian stats, we can see
Yeah,
where the ball is. I mean, they're passing it around a little bit, but they're not. Uh, I mean, Eric Addo and Roberto Carlos not really doing a whole lot. They're kind of on the left-hand side, I think. So they're the ones that are up against Shevchenko,
yeah,
and he is just laughing
on
in their
fire.
faces, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um,
when he's not scoring, he's doing assists, and Shevchenko, he's
mhm.
unreal.
A very, very good player in the game, definitely. Christian Vieri, slightly
Oh,
better than the Impensa, but not a
yeah,
lot from him.
no, I don't see any way. It's hard to say, but I'm not sure I see a way back into this game with the way they're playing.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult. 18,659 people turning up in Edinburgh tonight to watch this one.
Yeah,
Yes, well, let's kick off the second half and see if Midlothian can find a way back in, or if Valen are
yeah,
strong. A little bit like the Hooligans game, isn't it? You are up against one of
yeah.
the
The form
really
sides,
the
yeah,
form sides, the best teams in the league. But we'll
yeah,
see. A lot can happen in the second half, obviously. If they get an early goal, you never know, might unsettle some of the
yeah.
Valen players a little
They
bit.
need something out of somewhere, don't they?
hmm So yeah,
But
interesting
as you
to
say,
see.
Valen are known for being a second half team, so it's hard to see anything other than the 3 points going to the away side.
Yeah, that them hanging on definitely. That would be where my money would be, but it looks as if they're not overly concerned in the second half with
No,
creating anything. I mean, they're
Valen
trying.
it was just job done for Valen when they first half. They just gone out to control the game. Now second
Yeah,
half,
yeah, and they
it didn't
didn't.
really seem to be much happening there today. Second half was a bit of a damp squib. It was, but for Valen, say they had done what they needed to do.
Yeah, routine victory for them, which is probably
Yeah,
what they were looking for. Shevchenko getting a 10
yeah,
man of the match. I mean, strong numbers across the board, as you
yeah.
probably
You look at
expect.
Shevchenko compared to Del Piero, and it's staggering, isn't it? Double the amount of touches, treble the amount completed. 2 assists.
Going up for all
You
the
know,
headers as well.
yeah.
Roy
They
Keane,
basically won. Valen have won that with 10 men, basically, haven't they?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, Shevchenko on his own wouldn't have made much of a difference in
Yeah,
terms of performances. Midlothian,
yeah,
let's see if there's any positives from them. I mean, Shea Given is doing a fairly decent job in goal.
yeah,
Kevin Hoffland getting a 9, but apart from that,
Yes, as I said, Vieri, all right, he's played a 7, but they're going to need a lot of goals from Vieri because, I say, in Penza, all right, 10 goals isn't bad, but it's 10, your strikers getting 10 goals, is that going to be enough to get you into the playoffs? And then, as I say, Kesno was probably their main goal scorer. So Vieri is a lot of pressure on him. And, I don't think he's up to
Mm,
that task.
and I mean, let's be fair as well to Midlothian. Not a lot of teams took points from Valen last season, and they did finish on a high. The only problem was that they couldn't score against Bolton, obviously, who somehow managed to control them. But so they put up, like, say, a half decent display, but clearly not enough to
Yeah,
trouble them.
they lost, obviously, on the opening day last to Midlothian. So they won't be too worried about it. But I think obviously their two signings have come in and haven't been great. And
Mm.
obviously if Penza isn't scoring, they're probably going to be a bit worried because they got Comandini on the bench, who, if that's your kind of backup striker, again, I think that's a bit of a worry.
I mean, an argument could be made for them trying back up front because
Yes, yeah,
he's super fast. I mean, I know he's had great success apparently trialing him or playing with him himself in that AMC role, but
yeah,
it's not the same. Yeah, the central defenders you're up against in whenever you play in your own saves are not the central defenders, or sorry, the central defensive midfielders you're up against in the Super League. So I think
no,
maybe getting someone like Alex or whoever he's got into that AMC role maybe and then
yeah, he
trying
could play
back, at least
Gerard.
trying him,
Yeah,
at
I
least
think he'll
trying
come to
back up
something
front,
new.
maybe.
Yeah, as I say, saying Penza hasn't been the Penza of the previous Super League,
Mm,
so I think again it's something he'll like myself with Robbie Keane. It's one you'll have to keep an eye on.
yeah, and his tactic not getting much love in the comments either, obviously. But
No, it's difficult. I know you've got Carlos and Dulage bombing on, but I still think it's defensive. I know you're playing Valen, but at home, I don't think
mm,
you can get away with playing 5 at the back.
yeah, I think to be fair, I think he'll probably stick with it for if his next game is an away game. We'll see what it is. I
Yes,
would then we definitely see it if but for the next
yeah,
home game, maybe we'll see something different from
yeah,
Midlothian. But yeah, we'll see when it comes to that. Um, let's see what we've got coming up next. We've got Panathinaikos. We have got
yeah,
Panathinaikos. So this is the battle of the two new managers. We've got
yeah,
Scott obviously taking charge of Chudley Cannons and Maka, as he's
yeah,
apparently affectionately known, taking charge of Panathinaikos. What do you make of these two guys? Obviously, Chris has been around for a little bit. He's been helping out
yeah,
at Bolton.
yeah. Obviously, yeah, the Chris has been around a while and Mac is, fairly new, but it's to say it's hard now. They've got no kind of games behind them to judge them on, so it's going to be interesting to see, how they pan out. I think Panathinaikos, a lot has been made of the transfer deal in between Nicky Ferenko for Riquelme and Cole. He's adamant that he's had the best deal, but I can completely see why Hodgie's done it. Riquelme, he's been garbage for whoever he's played for. And I also thought Joe Cole was really poor. Say if Panathinaikos can get the most out of them two, or even near the most, then yeah, he's probably definitely come off the best. But if you're talking about consistency with Nicky Ferenko, I would say the Hodgie's got the better deal. I know people
Mm.
say it's two for one, but if you've got two players who are not performing to anywhere near their potential outside the Super League, then it's all well and good. But he's
I
going to
mean,
need a lot.
I think they had like a 6.20 average or something, both of them
Yeah,
last
say
season. So
Cole on previous saves has been decent when he played for Swindon, but
mm,
Riquelme, no matter who he's played for, has been absolute rubbish. I say
mm,
when I took over, back in season 2, he was one of the key players I wanted, someone I always kind of go to when I needed an AMC, and I kind of chucked everything at him to get him, and he was
hmm
absolute rubbish. I tried every tactic. I tried changing every setting with him, long shots, everything was changed constantly. And no matter what I did, he was either injured or just absolute rubbish. So
mm.
I think Ardsley, when he took over last season, when he got Riquelme, he was kind of like, this is, my main focus to get him playing better than he was. And I think he was the same as me. He just gave up in the end. I think he was just happy to get rid of him.
Well, we'll see. Obviously, Panathinaikos had Nedved playing in that kind of position, I think, last season
Yeah,
and did quite well. So maybe Riquelme
yeah,
will come
yeah.
good
I think
there.
I think Nedved can be better from deep from the centre midfielder rather than AMC. But I say it is a deal that can work out well for both. if both managers can get the players firing. But I think Panathinaikos got a good team. Thierry Henry, good signing. To say, scored the winner. But I'm glad he stuck with Eversand. He's not the kind of household name, but he's someone who gets the goals in, and that's what you need in the Super League.
I mean, he's not short of 20s, is he? Technique, teamwork, strength,
Yeah.
and then 17s and 18s. There's not there's a
No,
couple of 12s, but
he's outstanding. I think he gets the goals, to 18 and 26, and that's what you need if you're going to get in the playoffs. He's not the household name, and I did think, when he was bringing in Henry and he's got Trezeguet, I think Sand maybe could be on the bench, but I'm glad he stuck with him because I think I think he'll score more goals than Thierry Henry.
He's earned he's earned the right to be there, definitely.
Yes.
Right, let's see what Scott has been up to with Chudley Cannons. So a formation similar to what we've seen. Was it BTEC? There was the BTEC game, wasn't it, where they lined up something similar. Hodgie as well lined up something similar to this anyway.
Yeah.
He's brought in a Gat from outside the Super League, someone that I think a lot of people were after, but in the end it was Chudley who got him.
Yeah.
What do you make of the Chudley side? Were they a little bit unlucky to? I mean, I think they had 3 or 4 games last season where they lost all of them and conceded like, I don't know, 20 goals in 4 games or something absurd. Were they a little bit unlucky to not make the playoffs, or do they
Yeah.
have like big
I
gaps in
think
their squad?
I think after halfway they were in the playoffs, but as you say, they had some disastrous games where they just got battered, and I think it just dumbfounded Tim. I didn't think he knew what was going on, and I think it completely fried his head. But they've got a good side. I think there was just one or two bad goalkeeping performances and a few bad away performances. But to see he stuck with Rossini, which is no surprise with him being the top goal scorer last year. But I think when he took over, I think he was quite willing to let Rossini go. I think at the start he was quite keen to do a trade with me with Robbie Keane, but I think he soon realised then when everyone was probably trying to get Rossini from him, I think he realised that I think I need to keep this guy. So I think I really like Amoroso as well. I do. I think them two could be a great strike force. Exterburia in the AMC, I'm not too sold on. But then you've got Kerr. I love his midfield four, Gath, Bauma, Liverani, Van Bommel, and then Kerr. The only, as a slightly weak point, I think, is Exterburia in the AMC.
Yeah, and Hupia and Rocket Jr. are kind of adequate, I guess.
Yeah, I
Defenders.
think two good centre halves, the same Mendes de Silva, on the bench. But I think the AMC is the only kind of, when I say weak point, I think if I just compare it to the rest of the team, that's where it's probably not as top draw as the rest.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we can get Mark Kerr. Obviously, season 1 Mark Kerr is decent, but he's the one
Yeah,
a little bit like Brosek 2, season
I
2,
was just going
3.
to say,
That's
yeah,
when he
he's the
really
one
comes
who's
into his own, doesn't it? So
he'll come into it now, yeah, definitely.
So this is an interesting one. So it's a battle of the 2 new managers. I can tell you
Yeah,
that the public opinion is completely split. So it's 40% for each, and the last 20% going for a draw. So yeah, I mean, who said Alf says 3-3? So let's see if it's anything like that. We'd love to get 3 goals for each
yeah.
side. I mean, that's always exciting.
There, there,
So
there wasn't a draw on the opening day of the season last year, so we haven't had one so far either. So it'll be interesting to see if we do get one in the last 2
that's
games.
true. We had hardly any draws in the first like 3 or 4 weeks, did we? We
No,
were actually talking
well,
about whether it was bugged or
well,
fixed, and it was all home wins.
yeah. Last season, if you take obviously the opening fixtures tonight and in the reverse fixtures, so between these two teams in the 14 games played, there wasn't one draw last year.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. That's
So there wasn't in 14 games. There wasn't one draw. So
not a
let's see if we
single
get
draw
one
on
in the
these
last
ones.
two.
Yeah. Well, let's
No,
see. Right. So penultimate game of the evening: Panathinaikos, Chudley Cannons. 2 new managers. Oh, so we need to do this thing. We need to change this because obviously, that's
I'm
been
gonna go for
reset.
Panathinaikos just to nick it. I think.
We shall see. We shall see what comes up. Romadal though, I can't. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, Romadal. I think Exter Maria is someone. Obviously, I can understand he played Agath. Agath was someone I wanted, but I think Exter Maria's best position is from that right hand side going forward. So, Joe Cole.
Hodgie will be raging.
Yeah. To be honest, I think Joe Cole. I think Hodgie would probably say Joe Cole. He was someone. He was probably a bit I'm not saying he wanted to get rid of Joe
Uh-huh.
Cole. I think he would have drove Raquelme down to Panathinaikos, but
Mm-hmm.
Joe Cole, I think, as I said, it could be a deal that works out for both teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean that was a very good couple of minutes there for him. Obviously, a strong performance, Panathinaikos in the first half. Let's have a look at the ratings for the players. It's his two central defenders are working very, very, very
Yeah,
hard, and they are definitely doing all what they can. And
yeah.
and it's not been a good start for Chudley.
No. But as I said, the two players I picked out, obviously, Extabria with the 6 and Raquelme with the 6. They
Mm,
obviously
yeah.
Joe Cole's playing the 7, got a goal, can't argue with that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Extabria in the AMC is something that Chudley is gonna need to find a way. I'm not sure what options he's got in backup, but it's something he's gonna need to find a way to.
I mean, he's got Gallardo on the bench. He's not a bad
Yeah,
player, is he? I mean, not a
Harrison Harrisimovic could probably have a goal there as
both of
well.
them
I
could
know he's
could
not.
maybe get in.
Yeah,
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Let's have a look. It's Cannavaro getting an assist for some reason. Ebisand obviously repaying his manager's faith by getting an assist, if not a goal, setting up.
yeah.
So it's Nedved and Cole with the two goals. Not a lot of touches in in that first
No,
half for some of the
no.
players, but
Ramadal, Nedved, Henri, even Sand. Yes, been
and
quiet
look
in
at
the top
the
half of the pitch.
and look at the Ifeanyi Udese, who never got a look in at Bolton Phoenix last season. They picked him up for 5 million, and
Yeah,
he is
strong centre half.
dominating in the air. Six headers, all of them won, five of them key, completely cancelling out any kind of attacking threat down the wings that Chudley have. They're literally just
Yeah,
heading everything away there. So I suppose if you play with two wingers, you want strikers that are perhaps a little bit better in the air than Amoruso and Rossini, who are maybe not renowned for being these
yes,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
heading kind of people.
yeah,
Uh, it looks as if he's inherited the goalkeeper curse of
yes,
Tim with Westerveld there, doesn't it? A five.
yeah. Rocky Junior 5 as well. See, when you got two players who are playing above a 7, and that's Hippier and Agat, so you're going to struggle massively there. But as you say, it's Amoroso 8 touches. Yes,
Mm,
Van Bommel 9. Van Bommel is another one. I think he's a great player, but again in Super League, he's never really delivered.
mm,
Um, so I think he's another one. I thought he might have tried and used him to get a top AMC in. Um, I think he's someone he could have looked, but I think obviously he's made him captain. I think and he's put a
yeah.
lot of faith in him. But
Mm.
again, he's not someone who's delivered consistently anyway.
No, I mean it's interesting to have your perspective on it because you have a better memory than most of the people that come on here on notes anyway, with regards to what players have done well in the Super Leagues and who haven't. And it's interesting to see that it kind of carries on. I mean, obviously we as everyone know we reset it. It was the first I think 4 seasons that had gone, and then season
Yeah,
five was with everything reset, and now we're in what is season six, but effectively season two of these players. And it's funny
yeah,
that the same kind of things kind of prevail. I mean,
yeah,
whether people can do it in the Super League or not, it seems to continue.
yeah,
Joe Cole, yeah, yeah. Do you see a way back into this for Chudley Cannons? That's probably the worst first half performance of any of the teams we've seen tonight.
yeah. No, not if they're playing like that. I don't see. I said Panathinaikos before the game, so I don't see that changing
Mm.
now.
You just
It'll
think it
take a
will,
miracle.
yeah, it'll definitely take a lot, take a much better performance. Panathinaikos with only chances of the first 20 minutes of the second half. They got a
Making a bit of a game of it at least.
Yeah, they're coming forward a little bit, but I think that back two is looking really strong.
Joe
Choco.
Cole.
Of all people,
As you say, Amraquel,
oh
mate.
my goodness.
Simple.
Hodges just chucked his phone out the window and closed the curtains.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I was the same. When he went to Hodgie, I thought, oh, Raquel may be on fire now and I'll just never live it down. But to be honest, obviously, at the end of the day, Hodgie got Nicky Ferenko scored as well and played
Yeah, yeah,
outstanding. So it's
that's
a
true.
deal that could well work out for, at the end, like Hodgie said, it's pointless keeping these superstars in names if they're not doing anything for you. He played Cole and Raquel
Mm,
in different positions. So
he gave them plenty of chances,
yes, and they
definitely.
didn't deliver. So if he can get Nicky Ferenko delivering, it's a no-brainer for both of them.
Mhm, mhm.
But a bit of reality check for Chudley, is to say it's not 4-0. If you look at the stats, it doesn't really back it up, but it's obviously a bit of a reality check for Chudley, because as you said, at half time was probably by far the kind of worst performance on paper. You know, they're 1-8, couple of fives. They say Extabria, he was one. I said I don't think that's going to last long with him in the AMC, because it's not. I tried to get it Extabria quite hard because I wanted him to play on the right hand side, but I don't see that experiment
Yeah,
working with him in.
he was an absolute monster for Churchtown, wasn't he? 7 games, five
Yeah,
assists, and a 750 average. To be fair,
yeah,
Chudley got a bit of a tune for him, but they also played him, I think, up front occasionally. Did they, or did they just play him as one of the two behind? Maybe. I mean,
yeah.
he was very very good, but I don't think as a lone AMC, I
No,
don't think he's maybe the real
yeah.
solution.
I don't think obviously Westerveld hasn't had the best game. He may look a
Mm-mm.
Pagliuca, although he's a bit older. I think he's probably just better keeper for me. So I think that's something we'll monitor closely, because I think that could change with the amount of bad games Westerveld had at the end of last season.
Mm,
I think obviously Chudley, but again, I think for Chudley, you don't want to get too downhearted. You look last year, both um, Valen and Midlothian, I think, lost their first game last year, and they both made the top six. So it's not the end of the world losing the first game. Obviously, it's not what anyone wants, but
no. I
as I
mean,
say,
Bolton had one win in the first seven or something, didn't they? 6 or 7, I think they had one win. They were
yeah, they
down
won their
in.
first. They won their first game, and I think they lost their second then to Valen.
Mm,
But I think it's important to try and not lose your first couple. I think in the first 2 weeks last year, it was only Sloths, Hools, and Swindon who didn't win one of their first two
mm,
games, and none of them finished in the playoffs. So I think it proves how kind of important it is to get an early win, because you don't want to be chasing the pack early
yeah,
on. It
exactly.
becomes very difficult then, and that's when you start to think, right, I need to make changes, I need to do this, and that's when it can become a bit difficult.
And if you just look at the Panathinaikos' performance here, Fabio Cannavaro somehow getting an assist. I don't know, hit him on the head from a corner or something like that. Maybe if you look at the defensive display of those two, I mean, Cannavaro is obviously a monster, but Udese seems to have been doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Ryan complaining that I never clicked on him in the last 25 games. You never picked him once. Why would I click on him? I don't think
Yeah,
he didn't have a single game. You never even asked him. I think you forgot that you even had him, to be honest.
yeah. Nicky Butt is another one at Super League level who is so under the radar. He's
Mm.
someone I also tried to look at getting in the summer, but Nicky Butt does a great job.
Yeah, a strong performance all round from Panathinaikos
Yeah,
there. I
it's
mean,
the perfect team
you don't
performance in it. This
you don't see any changes. Maybe an experiment down the right hand side with Melchior or someone else on the right hand side, but
yeah,
you would predict everyone else to kind of keep their place in the
yeah,
starting 11, wouldn't you? Slight
yeah,
concern
hundred
over Joe
percent.
Cole's fitness ending up on 65, but we'll see if anything.
Yeah, he scores 2 goals, you leave him off with that.
Well, you never know. Long shots
No,
as well, apparently. So yeah.
yeah,
It's all good, right? Well, it's getting towards the
and
end of
last
the end of the
last
show and the
game
last
now.
game
Yeah,
of the evening. So a few issues for for Swindon there,
yeah,
and one or two unhappy players in the Sloth side as well. Obviously, two teams that struggled a little bit last season. To be honest, Sloth I think just managed to squeeze out of the bottom two at the end. Um,
yeah,
interesting to see who gets off to a better start out of these
yeah,
two.
yeah.
A little bit of love for Sloths in the pre-match predictions, but it is fairly even. And yeah, what do you think? I mean, first of all, Swindon. Let's talk about Swindon. Fifey. Um, he's been in the league for a while. He kind of knows what he's doing. Um, it didn't work out for him last year. Where did you see that go wrong? I mean, we don't want to dwell too much on the past, but it is, I think it is quite important when one team it's kind of so far adrift. What was the issue, do you think, for that Swindon side? Is it the players? I mean, we can have a look at the lineup for
Listen,
tonight.
going back to obviously what you just said, there when you say, everyone loves Fifey, I don't think anyone can, put the blogs highly enough in terms of what he does for the league. But I think you're just being a bit nice there when you're saying he does know what he's doing. Again, that's not me being harsh, but if I look at this tactic now, when obviously I heard him say in his video, I'm trying something no one else has, that's because this is complete and utter shithousery. There's no other words for it. This is Football Manager shit at its best. 3 AMCs, a false number 9, or whatever you want to call it. This is complete and utter shithouse. I'm not having it at all.
Because there's no reason not to play an attacker.
There's no reason to play an attacker. You've got Ronaldo, who he's been saying earlier on he's not going to score as many as Ronaldo. You've got one of, on paper, the best strikers in the game. I know he's got a few strikers injured, but he's got Ronaldo. He's got Simone Inzaghi, who does get a few goals. This is a Football Manager stuff, playing with a false number 9. This isn't CM0102. That's no striker at home to a side who were right down the bottom last year. I'm not having it. I don't care if Fifey goes and scores 7-8 goals in this game. I am not having no striker that is completely and utter bullshit. For that reason alone, I'm going for Sloths all the way, because I don't care if he had 5 people in the AMC going forward. Not playing with a striker is just, one at the back was one thing, but none up top. It's never going to be a hashtag. It's complete and utter bullshit. I'm sorry, Fifey. I love you. Your blog is absolutely unreal, but this is beyond a joke.
So we'll see. So well, at least I can sit.
I
I can sit calmly on the fence when you so bravely jumped off it.
I don't care if they score 7 and win 7-0. Nothing will change me. And especially with no disrespect to Sloss, but when you're playing one of the teams who were down the bottom with you last year, to not play a striker, if anyone else in the Super League says any different, then that's bullshit. They're just sitting on the fence. I'm sorry. I'm not having it.
Right. Well, let's get
the shithousery off the screen.
We're not given many chances to Swindon. Then let's see Slots.
I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just trying to say it's bullshit. It's football. You must be playing Football Manager, not Championship Manager, in his spare time.
Well, I don't think anyone has tried it before, so we'll see.
No, it's because let's move on.
we'll see what happens with this one. Slots have gone a little bit different. So we saw it's similar to Hodges' formation actually to some extent. They've gone without central midfielders, but they've got plenty of people up front, just like both Kieran and Hodgie play with a bunch of people up front. So it can possibly work, because I mean, I think maybe it's a little bit OTT attacking, but at least he's got players in their like preferred positions. Everyone's in their best position, aren't they?
Yeah, I love the strikers, Kesman and Crespo. As I said earlier, big fan of Kesman. Obviously, Crespo, they've got, for me, the best striker on the game, best striker in the Super League. So if they can get Kesman alongside him, I really like the Alessandro in the AMC. Rivaldo and Kaka, Rivaldo has his games where he's great, and then he'll go on long slumps where he's poor. I'm also not too sold on Michael Carrick. I like Simeone and Van Bronckhorst, and Ian Wern's Taibi strong. But yeah, Carrick and Kaka, I think, are the two kind of weak links.
And the bench, I would suggest, is perhaps not the strongest either.
Frederick Rest's not a bad centre half. Landon Donovan does get a few goals, but
did. I mean, Landon Donovan, I mean, he'd got terrible average, but 4 goals.
You're not going to complain with your strikers if you're getting goals here.
Yeah, and not a lot of transfer activity. I think Kessman was Kessman the only one, or did he have another deal? I can't actually remember, to be honest.
I think all of those players there were players they had last year.
Yeah.
I think Sloths were probably in the same boat as me. Every team you approach probably wanted Crespo in return, and the same as me. No matter, I think every single team I approached someone for, everyone wanted Tomasi. And in the end, I think that's why all my signings came from either cash money or from outside the Super League.
Yeah.
Because it was, if you want any of my players, you give me Tomasi in return or nothing. So
and if
he probably had a similar with Crespo. If he approached anyone, they probably want the Crespo in return. So
and if you're down at the bottom, you're not going to give up your best strikers. I mean, he'd already gave up Vieri, so he wasn't about to give up someone else, and you obviously got Kesman in return for that. So
but I think they've upgraded their Kesman on Vieri, so this will be an interesting game.
And a bit harsh for Sloth fans out there. If you remember Sloths, I think they got like 7 or 8 red cards. They definitely lost if not a handful of games, then I would say at least 2 or 3 games they lost just on discipline. So it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see
with
if they
Simeone, it's
improve on
always
that.
going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was the worst, but we'll kick this one off and we'll see
Yeah,
if the shithousery Falls 9 gets it. Scotland famously probably around this time played without a striker in a away game at the Czech Republic many years
yeah,
ago. But
yeah. But that's because they probably had no striker when he's got Ronaldo, so that's
yeah,
a big difference.
we'll see if it works out for him because then you'll see a return of it next week, I'm sure.
Not having it.
Not having it. I mean, a decent start for Sloss by the looks of it. They're having the better of the chances early on. Um, But here comes the Devils. Taibi makes a save. And yeah, there's a penalty.
Penalty.
Ashley Cole scores on his debut.
Ashley Cole.
Slight discipline issue again for Sloss, obviously giving away the penalty there and somehow
Yeah,
failing to convert the chances. Kessman must be careful. Kessman again. I don't know what it is because, as
yeah,
far as I remember, he doesn't have particularly sorry, not attacking, aggressive instructions for his players.
yeah,
Fairly even and not particularly good first half. I think it's perhaps fair to say.
yeah. I think both teams are a bit short on quality. I think obviously we know with Swindon when they have got their strikers to come back, it will make a big difference. You know, Clivert and is it Filippo Inzaghi, who both out
Hmm.
tonight.
Hmm.
Um, but I think if you look at the rest of the team, I think without being disrespectful, the quality isn't quite there compared to the other
Hmm.
teams.
Hmm. Well, we'll see next time. They'll obviously play someone else, and we'll see how that goes. But the second half, Sloths, can they find a way back in? I mean, they do have Kessman, who is on a yellow,
Yeah,
but
I think
they've had a
Swindon
couple of
was
chances.
slightly the. I think Swindon was slightly the better team. I think Sloth started quite well first 15 minutes, but I
Hmm.
think Swindon kind of started to dominate a bit more. Then, as I say, not no team playing brilliantly. So I
Mm.
think Sloth's definitely got a chance, especially when they got Crespo. They just need 8 touches, 8 for Kesman, 6 for D'Alessandro.
Shocking.
Is 5 for Kaka, 9 for Rivaldo.
It's a bit of a risky
It's
run. I think when you do this kind of split formation, you can either go the way that it kind of went for
yeah,
Hodgie tonight, that he does somehow get the ball up to the strikers and they
yeah.
just keep
I,
pouring it
I
on. Or
I'd
if
probably look to take Kaka out of the team and play Donovan through the middle. I think he's quick.
mm,
He'll create space for the other two. I think that's especially in home games. I'd probably look to. I know it's a bit more attacking, but if Kaka's not going to give you anything, well, I don't think he's good enough. I'd
mm,
probably look to get Donovan. His say ratings may not be great, but if he's scoring 4 and 6 goals, you're going to take that all day long.
yeah, exactly. And if you look at Swindon's, so Clarence Seedorf obviously went down for the penalty. Ashley Cole converted it. So Fifey will definitely be happy with that results wise. He's got Sebastian Mendes hardly uh, needing to touch the ball. Paulo
Yeah.
Montero, who I think is a good signing. Paulo Montero,
Yeah,
he obviously brought him in.
I like Montero. I think they needed someone because losing Taribo West was a
A
big
big
loss for
big
them. I
one,
know
yeah.
obviously they wanted strikers in, but I think I do like Montero, but they needed him because losing West is a massive blow. They
Hmm.
conceded a lot of goals last year, and you lose your best centre half. You know,
It's a tough one. Seedorf
yeah,
as well. Seedorf getting an assist, obviously, it's going to be important for him as well to get a replacement for
yeah,
Tom Madeira. I know he's got plenty of options up front, so that makes sense that he's got Clarence Seedorf in,
yeah. I
considering that
think
he brought in Ronaldo and
yeah.
Inzaghi.
If you look at that deal on a one-off, who's got the better deal? Then I think obviously Ardsley. But if you look at it in the ways of the strikers that he's got, definitely that's another one for me that works for both teams. You wouldn't say anyone's at the better end of the deal, just that they both had a good end of the deal.
Yeah, exactly. Hodgie needed a third choice striker that wasn't bloody Hussein or someone like that,
Yeah,
and Devils definitely needed an attacking midfielder that wasn't. I can't remember who they had. If Dice, the guy
Deisler, yeah,
Deisler, the guy who went to Bolton, wasn't it?
yeah,
He's okay, but I think Seedorf is probably marginally
yeah,
better.
a lot better. Yeah, yeah,
Well, let's kick off the second half and see if the strikerless formation. I mean, I'm deliberately just dragging this out because I know Stephen Stephen can't breathe. So apologies for that. Apologies for that, Fifey.
yeah,
Let's kick off the second half and see what will happen. Yellow card for Montero, unsurprisingly. Obviously,
yeah.
there's
Cedar.
Clarence Seedorf
Oh,
scoring on
nice.
his debut. this is going to be interesting if this works. I mean, presumably with Kluivert back, with everyone back, he might push one of them up in the next game.
Yeah, as I say, you can see he's missing strikers, but as I say, he's without again with all due respect to Sloss, he's played a side who I don't expect to be at the top end of the league, and I think all right, he's won 2-0, and I think he'd maybe take the gamble, but nothing's going to convince me, and I don't care anyone says playing when you've got Ronaldo. You play Ronaldo as a striker. There was no need for it. As I say, he hasn't played great today, Swindon. They've just played against a team at home who are probably lacking a lot of options in terms of the slots.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, if you're looking at averages, I mean, they're not playing badly, but they're probably the worst of the teams who won, if you can
Yeah,
say that. But I mean, he'll take it as he says in the comments
yeah.
there.
You,
It's
you
it's
take,
two nil,
say,
it's 2-0 and a clean sheet. You can't argue with that, can you?
yeah.
But
No, you look at my ratings, they're probably similar, if not a bit better than what Swindon's done. But
mhm,
it makes no odds. He's won, I've lost, the same as other teams have played one and lost it. As I said,
mhm.
opening night, you don't really care whether you play. All right, it's nice to play well. Everyone wants a convincing win, like a Bolton win or a Valen win. But ultimately, when everyone wakes up tomorrow, all they care about is that they got 3 points on the board.
Yeah, where they sit in the table, and obviously keeping a clean sheet important for him. The attacking formation didn't really work for Sloss. I feel as if Sloss have a good formation, which is this kind of pyramid kind of thing, the attacking one with one central midfielder. They did really well in a bunch of games last year, and I haven't seen it since. I'm not entirely sure what happened to it, but Rob, if you're out there, that might be an idea. Just saying, but you can obviously continue
Yeah,
with the
Lukaku,
experiments.
I know he played a seven in the end, but he's not someone who's going to cut it a Super League level for me. Um, so yeah, maybe even try Mads Jorgensen or try Landon Donovan in between.
Mm,
Have a bit more pace to the team, give a bit more space to Crespo and Kesman because they're definitely goal scorers. But
yeah.
with what they've got behind them, it's going to be difficult if they're not getting the ball and creating chances.
Yeah, Kessman obviously having one shot on target and having that one disallowed, the goal that he had, so that doesn't turn up obviously because did have a goal disallowed in the
Yeah,
last minute for offside, so that doesn't really turn up. But yeah, I mean it's a strong performance anyway. I mean it's one of the games. If Swindon are going to get off the bottom, which they will, according to Fifey and according to some, at least some of the pundits, then they had to win this
I
one. I mean
they've got
it's three
decent. They
points,
have
yeah.
they've got goals in them now. I think
Hmm.
obviously again when they play bigger teams, I think they're going to concede a lot of goals, but I think they will score a lot of goals. So I don't think Swindon will finish bottom, but I'm not sure from midfield back whether they've got enough quality to make the
Mm.
top six. But
And
you can
depth.
only winning games is what matters, and that's what they've done tonight. So it's a good start. Again, another night where there wasn't any draws between these teams. Say a lot of goals, so some
And
good action.
another as you say, another starting round with no draws, plenty of action,
Yeah,
plenty of goals.
yeah,
Not going to bother with looking at the player stats because we've all just watched the games and it's the
yeah,
only ones that we've played.
yeah,
Panathinaikos obviously getting a good result. Bolton and Valen already up there. Churchtown winning as well. So these are what, four of the six playoff teams that are
yeah,
in the playoff area already. Swindon getting in there and Ardsley as well. So they were actually the bottom two for last season that are
yeah,
joining the the top four from last season. So
yeah,
an interesting early turnaround. Rather than dwelling too much on this, let's have a quick look at next week's matchup. So if we start with yeah, we can start at the top. We can start at Ardsley. They welcome Valen United. So an away game again for
yeah,
for Valen. Ardsley got off to a good start, but their defense was a little bit leaky. They did
yeah.
concede three against you. Tricky one for Hodgie, and a routine for Valen, or do you think there's a little bit more in it this season?
No, I think there's a lot more in it this season. I said it even before our game kicked off. Hodgie was playing it down, but with the plays he's got in those areas, Vieira, Nicky Franco, Tomadira, Chivu, I think he massively underperformed last year, probably more than anyone with the squad he's got. So I certainly don't think any game Valen go into, I think they're going to be favourites. But I don't think Hodgie. It's not a formality by any stretch of imagination. Hodgie's got a good side who can beat anyone.
Mm-hmm. Astor Athletic at home to Sloths.
Yeah, I think sloths have got to look at. I don't even know what options they had outside of their bench today in terms of what they could do. But Sloths are someone who I do fear for this season. I just think, yeah, it's just the squad is a lot worse than other squads.
Mm.
So they will have to try and do like an Asta. They'll have to try and find a formation that works with the players they've got, because as they take away their starting 11, it's a bit weak. So they need to kind of come up with something with that 11, try something different to get the most out of it, because player wise they're not going to be as strong. It's going to have to be a formation that fits those players that's going to give them any chance.
Mm-hmm. And then it's a tricky one for Swindon in their next game. They're away to BTEC Troopers, who were off to a decent start.
Yeah, both teams had wins tonight. As you say, BTEC, I think another one, they're not going to care that they've won, but moving forward, they're going to realise they've got to play a whole lot better. I think in terms of the fixtures, they've worked out really well for them. You've got Swindon at home now, so I think if you had looked before the season started and you said to BTEC, this is where you got 2 home games against these 2 teams, they would have taken that all day long. So, but again, it's a great win for Fifey tonight. So he'll be looking at that one after the way BTEC played and thinking, do you know what, I can get something from that.
Full of goals. Ryan says no
Yeah,
injury or red cards tonight. No, there were no injuries or red
no,
cards, actually, quite surprisingly.
no.
Next up,
Saeed was
oh,
injured,
sorry,
wasn't he, in
Saeed,
my
that's
game?
right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Ibrahim Saeed went out injured, that's true.
come on, Ryan.
Um, what was I going to say? I was going to say Bolton Phoenix up against
Yeah,
Hornets. Bolton looking to continue their good
yeah.
start to the season. As a
Hornets played well tonight. I think they were unlucky to lose. I think a draw probably would have been a fair result against
mm,
BTEC, but away to Bolton, again, I can only see one winner there.
that's a tricky one. And you
Yeah,
welcome Chudley Cannons. Obviously, they're under new management now. Otherwise, that would have been an interesting one considering your assistant.
yeah,
But let's leave it at that.
yeah.
But
Leave it at that. Yeah,
how do you fancy your
yeah,
chances against the Cannons?
yeah.
They got off
Well,
to a terrible start, didn't they?
yeah. No, I thought they played really well. Extabria was brilliant in the AMC, so I would probably just say they need to keep everything the same.
Yeah, that would.
No, yeah, that'd be nice. No, I think they've got, again, there's another one. It's hard when you come into the league. I know he's had a full preseason,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think the Extabria is one that, say, he obviously wanted to keep him because he's someone I tried to get, but he's quite confident. So I don't think anyone's going to be making rash decisions after one game, even
Hmm.
teams who haven't played well. I think everyone's going to try and settle in 2 or 3 games, and it's at that point, if you're not winning, where you then start to make the changes. But I wouldn't say, even though they did play really poor tonight, I don't think they're going to be making wholesale changes. They might just try and tweak 1 or 2 things.
And Midlothian against Churchtown. I mean, there's a lot of away goals in Churchtown, isn't there? Midlothian. I think Ian came on briefly and said that he was sticking with 5 at the back. He's gonna need them against
5 at the
Churchtown,
back.
isn't he?
Yeah, against Churchtown's front 3, I think you can probably understand. Um, but again, I think, I don't know, Midlothian, I'm not writing them off for the top 6, but I think they've got a bit of a job on their hands. I know he's been a bit upset that people have been writing them off, and I don't think you can, with how well they done last year. And as to say, they were inches away from beating Churchtown.
Yeah, yeah. It
Um,
was only that red card to Headman, wasn't it, that
yes,
eventually cost him.
yeah,
So.
just screwed everything. But I think they need to try and find a way to get Vieri and Penza firing, because they've lost probably their top goal scorer from last year. So, and
Mm.
Alex, he's another one. He's a good player, and I don't think he's ever been poor in the Super League, but he's not someone who's ever been raved about or mentioned in any great terms. So
Hmm.
they will have to get him, because I think Kewell, done a good job for them. So they'll need to kind of address that issue.
Uh-huh. And last but not least, we've got Palmers and Icos, the current league leaders, up against Hooligans. Hooligans would have
Yeah,
perhaps hoped for a little bit of an easier second game after that initial display. Um,
yeah.
Strong side, Palmers and Icos, and Hooligans, drawing board time for them, isn't it?
Yeah, Panathinaikos are a strong side. As I say, they've got unfashionable names: Odesi, Nicky Butt, Pau, Ebe Sand, but they're players who do a good job.
Hmm.
I think Thierry Henry, he's never someone, again, who set the Super League alight. He's never been, whichever team he's really gone to, he's probably found himself on the bench a lot.
Hmm.
Um, so I think he's someone who they'll have to in the long run look to get some goals out of him. But Hooligans have got the players. There's no denying that. I just think probably Thiago will be speaking with his assistant and maybe looking at a change. I think they need to get Brett Emerton in. As I say, we talk about the old Super League a lot, but in those 4 seasons, Brett Emerton was one of the standout players for every team. So I think they certainly need to be looking at getting him into the team. Um, Even it's difficult with Beckham because I think if you play a formation where you've got wide players like my formation with the wide players on either
Hmm.
side, I think Beckham will give you a great option. I don't think he's good in the middle. That's why I don't think he really gets a look or plays well with Thiago.
Hmm.
But if he was to maybe get a bit of wide players in the team, Beckham would probably give him a good option.
Hmm.
Um, but he's one who's got the players. I think that's Thiago's got the luxury. I think Elba is another one. I think Elba's still there, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I would look to get him up front because I think Salas and Santa Cruz they're not good enough. Even putting Ronaldinho up top and maybe Aymar in the AMC where he's more effective, possibly.
Yeah, I
I
mean
think that's some.
he's definitely got options, hasn't he? When we're
Yeah,
talking attacking
he's got a lot
players,
of
and
options. So
there's
I don't think.
nothing wrong with him defensively. I mean,
Yeah,
Taribo West,
well,
Gamara, maybe not world beater.
to be honest,
Sol Campbell, he's got plenty of
the
talent
way
in there.
the way Chiatis played tonight, you're not going to win a game with
No,
anyone like that. So
with
you haven't got hope of
getting a
you.
three, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's game over then.
Well, that was interesting. Very interesting and very exciting opening round of the Super League, I think. As you perhaps have noticed, I mean, there was only one injury, but as you perhaps noticed, I kind of do that now. I, I, I don't want to dwell on it too much if because I've already written a little bit about it, but I can't keep
Yeah,
up with all of
I
it.
I
I don't think it really
most
brings anything to the on reflection for
no.
last season. I'm not sure if it really brought anything
No,
to the
to be
league.
honest, most teams when you've only got 4 subs, so you've got a keeper, and then most teams will go with one defender, one midfielder, one striker, or
Hmm.
similar to that. So you're never going to be that far. Like today, obviously, I think you brought on Okaronko for Saeed. Other
Hmm.
people may have brought on Volodenkov, but I don't think anyone's ever. There's never one where people. It's not as if you're bringing a DMC off and putting a striker on. I think it's
Hmm.
most substitutions are fairly straightforward-ish.
Yeah, I think there was only what you call it. I think it was Ryan last season. I gave a heart attack by doing something. I can't remember what it was, changing his formation or something like that. But anyway, so we're gonna run with that until I
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
say otherwise. So that's pretty much it. So
yeah,
so apart from that, no changes to the rules, no changes to anything. I'll send out the packs. You'll send back your squads, and everyone's happy.
yeah,
Um, I'm gonna call it a night, Jamie. Thank you
yeah.
so
That's great.
much for dialing
No
in.
worries.
I hope you had. Yeah, I know you had a bit of last minute issues
Yeah, he's a
with
bit.
being.
He's been a bit quiet, so I can't argue with that. But I think
That's
lucky I
good.
got the headphones on. I think if he had heard your voice and
Oh
realised I was
yeah,
actually talking to someone, not myself, he probably would have gone a bit up the wall. But fingers crossed, we got away with it, so job done. And I managed to keep. I think I managed to keep it all right after we lost in the fourth game. I don't think I lost my head too much, so I'm
no,
happy
no,
with
no, not at all. It
that.
was a pleasure, Jamie. A true pleasure to
No
have you
worries.
on. And thanks to everyone.
Cheers.
Thanks everyone who watched.
No
And
worries.
have a good night.
Yeah.